I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adoption and approval of minutes. Approval and adoption of the minutes of the Metropolitan Council meeting of June 25th, 2025, and the Metropolitan Council zoning meeting of July 16th, 2025 by the Council Administrator Treasurer. We have a motion. Motion by Councilwoman Amorosa, second by Councilman Kenny. Any opposed? Motion carries. Ashley, can you please read introductions?
And 2.12 introductions. Number 2, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge, Title 9, by adding Chapter 25, Smoke Vape Shops, so as to define and regulate distance requirements and signage on the sale of tobacco, vape, and similar products by Councilman Rowdy Gode, Councilwoman Denise Amoroso, Councilwoman Carolyn Coleman, and Councilwoman Tawana Harris. Number 3, resolution authorizing the East Baton Rouge Parish Sewage Commission to make application to the State Bond Commission for consent and authority to issue the not exceeding $497,925,000 revenue refunding bonds, Series 2025A of the Commission, for purposes of providing sufficient funds to refund all or a portion of the outstanding principal amount of the Commission's $224,900,000 revenue refunding bond, Series 2020B taxable, and 2, the Louisiana Local Government Environmental Facilities and Community Development Authority, $361,325,000 subordinate lien revenue refunding bonds, East Baton Rouge Parish Sewage Commission projects, Series 2020A taxable, and to pay the cost of issuance of the series of 2025A refunding bonds, and B, not exceeding $277,115,000 revenue refunding bonds, Series 2025B of the Commission, for purposes of providing sufficient funds to refund all or a portion of the outstanding principal amount of the authority subordinate lien revenue refunding bonds, East Baton Rouge Sewage Commission Project Series 2020A taxable, and to pay the cost of issuance of the Series 2025B refunding bonds, authorizing the selection of the underwriter and dealer manager in connection with the issuance, sale, and delivery of the 2025A refunding bonds and the Series 2025B refunding bonds, authorizing the execution and delivery of any and all other documents required in connection with the issuance of the Series 2025A refunding bonds and the Series 2025B refunding bonds, including but not limited to a bond purchase agreement with the underwriter and dealer manager agreement with the dealer manager, authorizing the preparation and distribution of a preliminary official statement, an official statement related to the 2025A refunding bonds and the Series 2025B refunding bonds, and providing for all other matters related thereto by bond counsel. Number 4, authorizing the mayor president to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the state of Louisiana for the state to provide funding in the amount of $1,025,000 from funding provided in Act 641 of the 2025 regular legislative session to support public service programs such as youth programming, community service, food and healthcare disparities, and violence prevention programs, and appropriating funding for said purpose by the community development director. Number 5, amend the 2025 pay plan for the classified, unclassified, non-classified contract fire and police employees of the City of Baton Rouge and Parish of East Baton Rouge so as to make the following changes effective August 14th, 2025. Add new classification, Chief Information Officer, pay grade 2380 by the Mayor President and Human Resources Director. Number 6, amend the 2025 allotment of positions for the City of Baton Rouge and Parish of East Baton Rouge so as to change the allotment of the Department of Information Services effective August 14th, 2025. Information Services, add 1 Chief Information Officer and delete 1 Assistant Director of Information Services and 1 Director of Information Services. Delete in 2026 when vacated through attrition by the Mayor President and the Human Resources Director. Number 7, amend the 2025 pay plan for the classified, unclassified, non-classified contract fire and police employees of the City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge, so as to make the following changes effective August 14th, 2025. Add a new classification, Chief Health Officer, pay grade 2340, Chief Efficiency Officer, pay grade 2380, Executive Director, Community Development, Federal Programs and Outreach, pay grade 2360, Violence Prevention Administrator, pay grade 2310, title change from Assistant Urban Development Director to Assistant Director of Community Development by the Mayor President's Office and the Human Resources Director. Number 8, amend the 2025 allotment of positions for the City of Baton Rouge, Parish of East Baton Rouge, so as to change the allotment of the Mayor President and the Mayor President Office of Community Development. Mayor President, add 1 Chief Efficiency Officer and delete 1 grant administrator. Mayor President's Office of Community Development, add 1 Assistant Director of Community Development, 1 Chief Health Officer, 1 Executive Director, Community Development, Federal Programs and Outreach, 1 Violence Prevention Administrator, and delete 1 Assistant Urban Development Director, and 2 Program Specialists, and 1 Urban Development Director by the Mayor President's Office and Human Resources Director. Condemnation introductions. Number 9, Michael Lyron Dupuy, 18115 Plank Road, Council District 2, Kenny. Number 10, Tiffany O. Prater, 288 Nancy Drive, Council District 4, Moak. Number 11, Christian D. Lewis, 296 Ponderosa Drive, Council District 4, Moak. Number 12, Naomi Jean Bell, Sandra K. Mayfield, Angela Bell, and Sylvester Toston, 4928 Peerless Street, Council District 5, Hearst. Number 13, Wanda Gale Tate Miles, 5025 Maple Drive, Council District 5, Hearst. Number 14, Thelma Epps, 4133 Pocasset Street, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 15, Lily Valerie Williams, 1133 North 47th Street, Council District 7, Harris. Number 16, Vote Louisiana, 2254 Scenic Highway, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 17, Sam Truman Coleman, 1327 Lori Burgess Avenue, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 18, Stephen Kennedy Sr., 19640 Deer Creek Drive, Council District 1, Knoll. Number 19, Ivory Ray Smith, Phil Smith, and Jane Smith Hart, 1583 King Street, Council District 2, Kenny. Number 20, Pelican Construction Group, LLC, 1713 Spain Street, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 21, Odessa Jones Lawson and Mark Jerome Lawson, 11625 Nimitz Street, Council District 2, Kenny. Number 22, Alexis D. Hunt, 1956 North Acadian Thruway, Council District 7, Harris. Number 23, Easter Dotson, 2148 Missouri Street, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 24, Alphonsus Otis Porter III, 955 Cotton Street, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 25, The Rucker Group, LLC, 1456 North 44th Street, Council District 7, Harris. Number 26, Vantage Realty Incorporated, 1956 Mulberry Street, Council District 10, Coleman. Adjudicated property introductions. Number 27, Lot 17, 18, 19, and 20, Square 5, Subdivision Banks, Council District 2, Kenny. Number 28, Lot 45A4, Subdivision Gibbons Place, Council District 2, Kenny. Number 29, Lot 19, Square 48, Subdivision Greenville Extension, Council District 7, Harris. Number 30, Lot 129, Subdivision Fairlane, Council District 5, Hearst. Number 31, Lot 85, Subdivision North Baton Rouge, Council District 5, Kenny. Council District 2, Kenny. Number 32, Lot 86B, Subdivision North Baton Rouge, Council District 2, Kenny. Number 33, Lot 189, Subdivision Baker Estates, Council District 2, Kenny. Number 34, Lot 6, Part Square 240, Subdivision Favreau, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 35, Lot 4, Part Square 241, Subdivision Favreau, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 36, Lot 62, Square 1, Subdivision Richmond Park, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 37, Lot Section 5, Ward 2, Subdivision GC Mills Tract, Council District 1, Knoll. Number 38, Lot 48, Subdivision Donwood, Council District 4, Moak. Number 39, Lot 7A, Square 30, Subdivision University Place, Council District 2, Kenny. Number 40, Lot 16 plus, Square 163, Subdivision South Baton Rouge, Council District 10, Coleman. Number 41, Lot J, Square 92, Subdivision Estruma, Council District 10, Coleman. All items that require reading have been read, and a motion to introduce all items is in order.
Do we have a motion? Introductions. Motion by Councilman Gode, second by Councilwoman Adams. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we'll go to our separate sheet for condemnations. Recommendations for DPW are to proceed with items 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 97, 98, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126, 127, 128, 129, and 131. I have District 7, and 90 days on 96, 99, 105, 106, 117, delete items 121 and 130. I have a recommendation from District 7, 30 days on items 103 and 107, 90 days on 124. Councilman Hurst said 30 days on item 89. Are there any other recommendations?
Yes. I have 30 days on 111 and 131.
111, 131, 30 days.
111 and 131. I have 60 days on 92.
92, 60.
And I have 90 days on 94, 97. And you can take 98 off because it has been torn down. 90 days on 109, 115, and 132.
Okay, 94 and 97 were 90 days. Delete, which one? 98, delete,
Because it's torn down.
okay.
109, 115, 132, 90 days.
109, 115, and what was the last one? 132. I missed 132. 150, 109, 97, 94. Okay, anybody else?
90 days on 90.
90 days on 90.
30 days on 99, 104, and 116.
90 days is recommendations 90. You said you want to make it 30?
Yeah, for 99, 30 days, 104, 30 days, and 116, 30 days.
104, 30,
And 116.
116, 30 as well?
Yep.
Okay. All right, anybody else? Anyone wishing to speak on any of these items? Seeing none. I'm going to read them back. Let me know if I mess this up. We're to proceed with items 85, 86, 87, 88, 91, 93, 100, 101, 102, 108, 110, 112, 113, 114, 118, 119, 120, 122, 123, 125, 126, 127, 128, and 129. We're going to 30 days on item 89, 99, 103, 104, 107, 111, 116, and 131. 60 days on item 92, 90 days on items 90, 94, 96, 97, 105, 106, 109, 115, 117, 124, and 132. And we're going to delete items 98, 121, and 130. I can't believe it. All right. Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilwoman Coleman, second by Councilwoman Amorosa. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item 133, authorizing Mayor President on behalf of Baton Rouge Police Department to enter into a memorandum of understanding agreement with East Baton Rouge Parish School System. This MOU establishes terms for the reimbursement of BRPD personnel costs associated with furnishing school resource officer to the EBR PSS for the school year by police chief. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Reverend Anderson, how are you?
I am good. How are all of you?
I specifically am in opposition to this item for several reasons. Besides the fact that this is a rather vague MOU that assigns unnecessary responsibilities and roles and gives very little, if any, power to either parents, particularly parents with special needs children. It has responsibilities in it that are inappropriate to an agency that should be providing security services. Also, one of the issues I have with this particular agreement has to do with the fact that has any parent had the right to vet this for legality, for who is allowed in the schools around their children, particularly given the fact that in this particular parish, we had an 11-year-old child who was sexually assaulted by a school resource officer. So for so many reasons, including the fact I think it is an absolutely hideously written document and legally questionable, I would ask this body to pull this item.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Councilman Dunn Jr.
Chief LaDuff, you mind coming? Can you explain to us the purpose and the spirit in which this item was brought, what you're trying to get accomplished?
What we're hoping to do is put resource officers back into our schools. A resource officer is a person who's there to help with the safety and overall conduct at the school, not from the students so much. We're there as we interact with students. That's a need on behalf of the administrators to call us into that. But it's the outside forces that find their way onto the schools. So it's a national trend. It's something that we have been kind of absent from for a few years, but we're hoping to get back into assisting our schools in any way that we can.
Is this an armed officer?
Yes, it's a commissioned Baton Rouge police officer, as well as EBR school system has post-certified sheriff deputies in schools as well.
That was my follow-up question. So what's going to differentiate BRPD from what the sheriff is currently doing with the school system?
It's the same thing. We have people who've been doing this for quite a while now, just in an extra duty role.
Okay. Do you want to address any of the concerns that were brought by?
I'm not familiar with who or when that assault occurred, but I can assure you that my reputation stands for it. We wouldn't tolerate anybody harming anybody's child in this community. That's a promise.
If this move forward, when do you anticipate that BRPD officers would start operating up?
We're hoping to start with the school year. We're doing things now, Councilman, to help get ready for the school, to start a school. The first few days of school is the most critical. The last few days are the most critical. So we have to be at the transfer locations. We have to be at the school. We have to know who's coming in and what they're doing and just be ready. If we can start the school year well and get it to the beginning of the holidays, we're going to win. We'll be all right.
Will our officers just be in schools in the city limits, or would you be?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We wouldn't be allowed to work outside of our jurisdiction.
Okay. So the sheriffs will be eliminated from working in the city now?
No, sir.
They will still be in the
Yes,
city
sir.
limits? Okay.
Yes, sir.
You have any idea how many officers, how many schools?
No, I don't know the number, but I can get that for you.
All right. Thank you.
I would just take my time because Brandon's talking. I did want to comment on that. That was festering in my brain when you said that about kids being touched by a single officer. I feel that's deplorable in any situation, but also feel it's deplorable when a teacher does it or when a parent does it or when anybody else does it. So I don't want to strictly target an officer. Could be a custodian. There's a number of stories nationwide where we've had pedophiles in situations who we thought were friends but ended up being enemies to our society. So I don't ever want to target a police officer or let that be a narrative when we're trying to restore good images in public safety. So I just want to go on the record of saying that one bad officer will not spoil the bunch. When we talk about background checks, officers go through more scrutiny than a teacher, a custodian, ever will, or even a parent that has to sign a permission slip or to be able to come on campus and volunteer. So the one who has the most background information on them, I don't want that to be the narrative that we talk about today, because there's resource officers in every school. So I wish I could strike it from the record, but I can't. But I want to know we have some great officers. I know we have some officers that aren't good. The ones that aren't good, we discipline them, and the ones that are good, we celebrate them. Thank you.
Councilwoman Harris.
Yes, Chief Ladelph, can you come back up for me, please?
Yes,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Chief. So this what you guys are doing with EBR School, this is nothing new, right?
No.
This is something you've done in the past, and it has worked
Yes, ma'am.
and implemented in a positive way, in a good way for both entities, correct?
There's a young man, he's a sergeant, Sergeant Spelling, who's been at Astruma. And if Dr. Langford was in here, she could tell you from her time at Astruma, a coach with his time at Astruma, what kind of impact this young man has had on the students that he interacts with on a daily basis.
Good. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll make the motion to approve, please.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Harris, second by Councilwoman Coleman. Is there any opposition? Motion carries. Item 134, granting a 5-year property tax abatement estimated at $937 per year from Mead LLC located at 1704 South Street by the Planning Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Goday, second by Councilwoman Harris. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 135, authorizing Mayor President to accept funding from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration on behalf of the Division of Human Development and Services for the Ryan White HIV/AIDS Program in an amount of $1,229,369. That's the first allocation. $835,746. Second allocation, $1,229,369 for a total federal award of $2,065,115 for the grant period of March 1st through February 28th by the Human Development and Services Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilman Moak. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 136, amending the 2025 expense budget for the Downtown Development District so as to appropriate $33,982 from the district's fund balance unassigned to provide funding for LED lighting upgrades within the downtown area by Downtown Development District Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilwoman Coleman, second by Councilwoman Harris. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 137, amending 2025 annual operating budget so as to appropriate $60,500 from general fund balance unassigned for the purchase of 12 replacement portable radios for the EBRP Coroner's Office by the Mayor President and the EBR Coroner. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Just state your name.
Trevor Paroli Barnes, Chief of Operations for the Coroner's Office. If y'all have any questions or concerns.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Councilwoman Amoroso.
Yeah, we had conversation the other day. Why don't you kind of explain the need that you have for these radios, the situation y'all are in right now?
Right. So this is our second or third attempt to get radios. We've previously bought secondhand radios from EMS. We're down to 4. They are no longer supported since 2018. We've been limping along. So this is how we communicate with other agencies in a mass fatality, a mass casualty, any type of, example, the 2016 flood, when the phones go down, if we don't have radios, we cannot communicate to respond if we need to be there. So this is where we're at now.
I know that this is a situation because I knew the gentleman that was in charge of Katrina, and he said the biggest problem they had was no communication from one to the other.
Right.
So I totally understand, and I make motion to approve.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Amoroso, second by Councilwoman Coleman. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you.
Item 138, authorizing settlement in the matter entitled Maria Lewis versus Aaron Nichols et al. In an amount of $55,000 plus court costs in an amount of $414 for a total amount of $55,414 by the parish attorney. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion by Councilwoman Coleman, second by Councilwoman Harris. Is there any opposition? Show me as opposed.
Show me as abstaining.
Abstaining. Everybody else good? Another opposition? Let's vote on the machines.
Machines are open on the motion to approve item 138.
I don't have, my vote thing's not up, but I'm gonna know. Motion carries.
Can you put me down as a no? I didn't. I missed the vote. Sorry.
Everybody good? Motion carries. Item 139, amending Title IX, licensing and regulation of trades and occupation, Chapter 18, wine, beer, and liquor, Section 91017, mandatory minimum penalties for sales to minors, so as to increase the penalties and amend suspension provisions by Councilman Dwight Hudson and Councilman Anthony Kenny. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Councilman Kenny.
All right, council members, in collaboration with Councilman Hudson, we identified along with the ABC board, there has been an uptick underage liquor sales have been going on in East Baton Rouge Parish, and so we wanted to make sure we add more teeth and accountability to our local businesses in the area. With so much growth of technology, LA Wallet, so much more, so we can help identify underage potential people who want to buy things for these stores. We need to make sure we are holding these businesses accountable as well. So I want to bring up Chris from the ABC board to kind of talk about the uptick in data-wise that's kind of been around underage liquor sales in the area. And as Chris come up, I had a couple constituents call from my area. Even though Southern University is not technically in my district, a lot of District 2 does feed into Southern University. So we have some liquor stores, gas stations as well. And a lot of constituents has brought a lot of concern about seeing a lot of young people leaving out with liquor as well. So we just want to make sure we get in front of it and be in the gap to address it. Chris.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Councilman. So probably since COVID, we've seen an uptick in the sales to unlawful persons, that being anywhere from 19 to 20 and below. Just to give you some numbers, historically, our non-compliance rate was probably in the 6 to 7% range. After COVID, but specifically in 2024, we did 356 compliance checks, and 91 of those sold. So that's a little over 25%. So far in 2005, we've done 168 compliance checks, and 59 of those have sold. So that's it. Now we're at 35%. So in the last 10 years, we've gone from 6% to up to 35%. In 2004, we had 10 second offenses and 2 third offenses. Since I've been here probably close to 30 years now, we've never had third offenses. We've had very few second offenses. 2025, we've had 15 second offenses and 8 third offenses. So we're trending in the wrong direction. So we've talked to some of the council to ask them to look at some of the options for us. And one of those was to increase the fines and maybe the suspensions. The ABC office is going to start in-person classes again. We had to stop that shortly after COVID. We're waiting. I believe the state board is going to meet in September, and we're going to try to get approval in. We've got to go through some paperwork and some recertification. Also, we're seeing, as part of that problem, we think maybe the language barrier, ownership of convenience stores, even grocery stores and restaurants now has changed. And we're having a problem with the people that come in with, I guess, interpreting our rules and regulations and being able to understand what we're teaching them or what we're telling them. So that's kind of where we're at.
No, thank you for that, Chris. And just a couple more things as well. We need to make sure we're not only pushing to our local business owners as well, but to our young people that they do not need to be purchasing alcohol if they're not of age, right? So it's a two-way street of a conversation, but we really need to make sure it's really critical with those educational classes for these businesses in the area that we're really pushing to them on the front end, right? Because I believe in making sure educating people to the best of our ability before how to hold them accountable. So definitely want to make sure we're pushing those classes to our business owners in the area.
Sure.
All right.
Councilman Dunn Jr.
Thank you. Chris, in your enforcement, where are you seeing these numbers mostly? Convenience store purchases or nightclub environment?
Mostly convenience stores.
Okay. And you said something about a language barrier. You think is happening in the immigrant population primarily?
My geography's not real good, but I would say we have more Middle Eastern owners now that probably have the biggest language issues with us.
Okay. And just for clarity for members of the audience and the public, I know we have the supporting documents here, but just talk about what you're proposing to do from the increase in fine and penalties. What we're currently doing right now as it relates to these things, and what are you proposing to do different?
Okay, it's a lot to it. I have a handout. I guess we could pass around if you wanted to look at that. But basically, we're increasing the fines on the business side of things.
So a fine on a business is currently what?
So the current fine for 17 and under, which would be your minors, is $250 for the person and $250 for the business, with a 30-day suspension that can be suspended by the board if there's mitigating circumstances.
And you're proposing to go to what?
Proposing to go to a $2,500 fine with a minimum 30-day suspension, which could also be reduced by the board.
That's a significant difference.
It is.
And that's what you've been seeing nationwide? That's best practices, what they're going to?
I cannot speak to that.
Okay. So how did you come up with the numbers if you didn't look at best practices and industry standard?
We sat down with a couple of the council people, some people from our office, and we discussed it. And the problem that we're seeing is the fines really don't mean a lot. They just pay them.
You say the fines don't mean a lot, the current amount of the fine or any fine?
The $250 fine is not a significant
A stiff
fine.
of enough penalty?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other changes?
Mostly it's the fines and the suspensions, but it's a 17 and under group, and you're also looking at increases for the 18, 19, and 20-year-olds.
Of similar increase, like from 250 to 2,500?
Similar increases. We have first, second, and third offenses. It starts at 2,500 and it will increase to a maximum of 5,000.
Gotcha. So is your belief by increasing the fine amount, you think that would deter the ownership behaviors of serving underage people?
I think that and the education piece, yeah, I think it'll help.
Okay. And you talked about the penalty piece, but what's the the fine piece, but the suspension is going from what to what?
Suspensions, depending on the violation, currently for a business selling to a 18, 19, and 20-year-old, it's a $750 fine. There's no suspension there. We're proposing that the suspension go to a minimum of, I think, a minimum of 30 days. For a first offense, second offense, you're looking at a minimum of a 6-month suspension. Again, these can be reduced if there's mitigating circumstances by the board. For a third offense within 2 years, you're looking at a permanent revocation for the employee and the business owner's license.
Gotcha. I do think the current fine is probably too small and not enough of a deterrent. And so they probably do need to look at an increase. It does shock me and surprise me that you didn't do any research or data or look at, your colleagues across the country to kind of see and get feedback from them of what they're doing differently to do that. And if I'm misrepresenting you please correct me, but I'm shocked that you hadn't brought any information to talk about what some of your colleagues across the country has done. Am I misrepresenting you?
No, I can't speak specifically to what they're doing across the country, but I can tell you that from previous research into that, we're probably lower than most states,
Gotcha.
a good bit lower.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Rocca?
I would like to thank everybody for trying to keep the city safe from all those underage drinkers. But anyway, good job, guys. I really appreciate all your hard work on this. I don't want to throw a wrench into anything, but I do want to err on the side of caution. We just had a big hiccup in the legislature whenever they changed the fees and fines for DWIs. And what that happened in some municipalities was it removed DWIs from Zachary City Court, and now they have to be heard in 19 JDC. So while you guys were discussing, having great discussions about what was going on, I consulted the city parish, and we have two wonderful lawyers from the city here, and I'd like to call them up now. I think to err on the side of caution and not remove some of the funding. Let me start over. So city parish across the street, the city prosecutor's office receives these fines. These fines help keep the city prosecutor's office and the city courts running and moving. So to remove that revenue at a time where we are trying to save every single penny here in the city of Baton Rouge and remove it to the 19th JDC, there would be a loss of revenue stream moving over to a different court. So Ms. Courtney and Ms. Aslan, please. I think that they have a really good solution. I think they have some floor amendments, and they can even speak to a little bit about the jurisdiction and maybe some changes, if you would be so willing to hear those, just to keep that revenue here in city parish. Thank you, ladies.
Aslan, go ahead and talk about the jurisdiction, the limitation of that.
All right, so city court and city misdemeanors punished and prosecuted at Baton Rouge City Court are limited to a $1,000 fine and penalties of up to 6 months. If we were to, generally most individuals who are cited as a person who has sold to an underage or a minor, instead of getting a citation to go before the board, they get a criminal summons to come before city court. If as in paragraph 3 of the ordinance, if the penalties which are now being increased also apply to those individuals who would be criminally cited, it would push it outside of the jurisdictional $1,000 fine and or 6-month limit that city court maintains, and it would have to be go into the district court.
So what we could do is offer up a floor amendment if for the council's consideration to separate the business fine and leave that as the proposed amount that you all have before you, and then do an individual fine of $1,000, and that way it stays with city court. The prosecution of the individual will remain in city court.
All right. Mr. Dunn has a question. I'll give him a portion of my time to clear that up.
Wouldn't a business fine leave city court as well because it's going above the $1,000? Am I misunderstanding?
Businesses won't go to city court. They'll go before the ABC board.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate you getting that information to us in such a short time frame. That was great work. Thank you.
No, we appreciate you talking to us about it.
Thank you so much. I would welcome the writers of the item to maybe consider that. Okay, well, I'd like to make those adopt the amendments as stated by the parish attorney's office. Thank you.
Councilman Moak?
Mr. Chris? So you advised as far as the fines go, once you established that they violated the code and everything, sold to minors and everything, it comes before y'all, then y'all get to decide at that point whether they actually pay the fine or suspension or whatever else. Y'all make a decision on what y'all would like to do at that point.
Once we do what we do out in the field, a case file is created and it's put on the agenda, goes before the ABC board, and the board makes those decisions.
Okay. So, for example, if someone comes before you and they find out that they have sold to a minor, and y'all decide, okay, you've accepted that fact. We as the ABC board decide not to fine you. This is your first mark. We're not going to fine you. Is that an option?
That is an option on 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. I don't think that's an option on 17 and below. That's mandated by the council, mandatory suspension and fine.
Okay. So,
And that's what I think this ordinance. will
so the
also-
mandatory part would be $1,000 and or suspension or both. So we're talking 20-year-olds and above, 18, 19, 20. Am I correct?
I don't think there is a
For 20,
18, 19, and 20.
yeah, 18, 19, 20, there's a mandatory for first offense of $1,000 fine, and second offense within a 12-month, a minimum of $1,500, and max, and then the third offense comes in with a mandatory minimum.
For here? Okay.
Just explain, because he doesn't have.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I'll step in if you don't mind and answer that part of the question. So for persons, so the sale of minors is sale to minors and sales to underage. Minors would be those under 17. Underage would be 18, 19, and 20. For a first offense sale to persons 18, 19, or 20, it's a mandatory $1,000 fine for those individuals.
Okay, so the $1,000 fine, the board has no option to rescind that fine or cancel it. Okay, yeah, you did it. Here's a slap on the wrist. Don't do it again. It's your first offense. They're getting $1,000 fine, no matter what. The ABC board has no option to cancel that out.
I don't think so. I do think that they do have an option. The board has issued warnings in certain situations where it was something that was considered mitigated, or it was a first offense and the business had some good reason why this happened and it was a mistake. We hadn't had any other issues with the business. I have seen the board issue warnings or issue the fine and suspend it pending no further violations in the future.
I guess that's what if we're going to set these rules and ordinances, then we're going to set these fines and we're going to set the penalty for what they do. And I get the due process of finding out what they did, why, going through the whole process. But then they found to have violated this. You have sold to, the business has sold to, the person in the business has sold to, they execute those fines. And I guess, maybe I'm wrong or thinking about this, but that's part of the thing also is if someone goes in knowing that I can get rid of this or make it go away or whatever, why would we not just institute the fine no matter what if they're found guilty?
The fine is instituted. There are only very rare circumstances where the board may see fit to find that a violation occurred, assess a penalty, and in very rare occasions, suspend that sum of that fine or all of that fine pending no further violations for a calendar year, for example.
Okay. As far as the violation and the penalties, is it the fine and suspension? Is it both or? For
sales to 18, 19, 20s, the suspension part of it is on the board's discretion. So there's no mandatory suspension aspect with 18, 19, or 20, except for third offenses, which the proposed ordinance is suggesting a mandatory minimum 10-day suspension. Currently, there is no required suspension for the business. The board may suspend, but there's no requirement statutorily.
But the person that did it has been proven to have sold to underage.
Councilman, you want your extra time?
Yes, please. Has been proven to sold underage. They have the option, they have the option of one or the other.
Or both.
Or
they
both.
could both fine and suspend the license. The statute allows they shall implement these penalties, the fines, and may, in addition to the fines, impose any suspension. And right now, it's up to the board's discretion on what that suspension may be. The proposed ordinance is to implement a mandatory minimum when it comes to third offense sales.
Okay. I guess that to me is I guess when we kind of get in the gray area is when you have that option to to waive those, that the penalty could go away, I think that's not seen as a deterrent to keep people from selling to minors or underage or whatever. So
if you look at paragraph 5, when it relates to minors under 17, the instances where that suspension can be waived or reduced is they list A, B, C, and D under those circumstances where that the board could see fit to waive any suspension, any mandatory suspension.
okay, all right, thank you.
Councilman Gode.
Thank you. I'm just going to compliment the authors for their work on this. I do think the proposed changes are sending a clear message. The sale of alcohol to minors won't be tolerated in this community, and I appreciate the efforts that you're undertaking. And Chris, the folks that work with you, work for you, and are out there doing holding businesses and individuals accountable, I always take the opportunity to compliment what y'all do. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good work, gentlemen. Thank you.
Councilman Hudson.
Chris, before I ask some questions to the attorneys, I want to put into context the discussion around sale to underage or sale to minors. Talk to me a little bit about the compliance checks over the last few years. I think we're talking about a very small population of people, right?
As far as minors 17 and under, yes, that's correct. 2024, we did four businesses sold to persons under 17. That's out of 356 compliance checks.
Yeah.
In 2025, nobody this year has sold to a 17 and under.
Right.
And that's out of 168 compliance checks.
Okay. So again, just to put that into context, sale to I always get this confused. Sale to underage is really the big issue that we're dealing with now. But we do need to have better penalties for sale to minors as well.
The biggest issue is the 18, 19, and 20-year-olds.
Right. All right.
17, we do get them. We had a 9-year-old last year that came in a grocery store and bought alcohol.
Wow.
So it happens. Will a bigger fine get their attention? I would think so.
Yep.
But education and the other part's going to help too.
Yep. So let me bring Courtney up. Just want to make sure I understand the amendment real quick. Courtney, if you would just tap her on the shoulder, Chris. Yeah. I just wanted to check real quick. I know as we were drafting this, we discussed thresholds that would require us to go to different courts and that kind of thing, or possibly put us in different jurisdictions. So I just want to make sure that we're on the right track. I like the amendment, and honestly, the $1,000 fine is probably the more appropriate fine for an individual anyway, as opposed to the $2,500. So just walk me through it again so that we all understand it. If we go above $1,000 for an individual, we take the money out of city court.
Yeah.
That's the gist of it.
Because the jurisdictional limit for a city court would be $1,000. Anything
Okay.
higher than that is going to kick it over to the 19 JDC.
So I think in our discussions, we were looking at the max we could assess an individual and still have it be considered a misdemeanor. We didn't look at what court it was going to go to, I guess.
No, and at the time we were thinking, the ABC board is going to probably likely hear it. I was just talking to Aslan about this because some of it does boil down to the law enforcement agency that issues the citation. So if the ABC board issues the citation, usually they're issuing the citation so that it could go before the ABC board, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, are y'all issuing any citations and then directing people to go to city court for their hearing? I know BRPD is going to city court.
BRPD usually works with us when we do these checks. So we'll write the business and administrative citation. Police department will write the clerk criminal citation, and then they'll go to city court.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So then
We can do both, but if we're working together, we do. We usually let the police department.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'll go ahead and let Aslan just let you know what she's whispering to me. I can repeat it, but I'm tired.
So I was just saying that generally the individual, when criminally cited, they're not being cited under Title IX. So this ordinance would not come into play. They're being cited by a BRPD officer under Title 13, specifically 1391.2, which is unlawful sale of alcoholic beverage to a person under the age of 21. And that ordinance does have the jurisdictional cap on it. That is, it's a city court misdemeanor.
Okay.
So
I think the moral of the story is it's good to have someone on this Metro Council that has a parish attorney background. So I just want to thank Councilwoman Rocca. That was a really, really good suggestion.
Yeah.
And then I do want to just address real quick the question of how we came up with the amounts. The amounts are geared around compliance in our local market, right? So the idea is that these businesses prior to this, I don't think cared much about the fines, and that's the feedback that we got from the ABC board anyhow. And so, the biggest thing that they were worried about was the suspension of their license. And so this is an opportunity to have both the fine and the suspension be a factor. We did leave the flexibility about suspending part of the suspension to give them flexibility. So I think it really gives the ABC board the most tools necessary to get the job done. So. Thank you.
Councilwoman Amorosa.
I just want to say this very quickly to answer Councilman Dunn's question about what they charge across the United States. I don't know about any other state, but I was in Alaska early 2000. They charged $20,000 for selling to a minor. It could be more by now. I have no idea. So anyway, so 2000 is really nothing.
Thank you.
So anyway, motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion to approve as amended by Councilwoman Rocca, second by Councilman Hudson. Is there any opposition? Motion carries. Good work. Item 140, rescinding and directing the clerk of court to cancel the notice to attend recorded on August 7th, 2024 in the matter of City of Baton Rouge versus Gregory Donnell Williams and the estate of Houston R. Williams, 10107 Avenue J. Reason for rescission, the property is being renovated by Councilman Kenny. Once again, not being renovated by Councilman Kenny, but this item is by Councilman Kenny. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. Motion by Councilman Kenny, second by Councilwoman Coleman. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 141, authorization for the mayor, president, and/or chairman of the airport commission to execute a professional services contract with Lamar Advertising to provide Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport 2 static billboard panels in an amount not to exceed $65,000 by the aviation director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing no one, go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilwoman Adams. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 142, authorization for the mayor, president, and/or chairman of the airport commission to execute a supplemental agreement number 1 with Covalent Logic to expand the scope of services and increase the amount of the contract by $165,000 for a total contract not to exceed $215,000 by the aviation director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilwoman Adams. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 143, authorizing mayor president on behalf of the city of Baton Rouge to and for the parish of East Baton Rouge to enter into an interagency agreement contract with the Juvenile Court of East Baton Rouge Parish in the amount of $66,468 by Juvenile Services Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item?
Thank you, council members. Amelia Herrera, 1700 Cedar Lake Drive. Yeah, I do want to speak on this because I think that is more of a punitive nature. And if we want to trust, if we want to build trust, this is not the approach. I think that we should, instead of allocating these funds for a juvenile to go and see a probational officer inside of a juvenile detention or courtroom, whatever, it's just not going to foster any trust. And we're already having issues with our juveniles. If they're having a mental problem, if they're having issues at home where they have to work to support their family, to be that second financial person that's bringing in money, if they're in an abusive situation, a toxic family, we want to make them go and report to a juvenile probation officer? Really? That just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, we're trying to help our youth, not punish them. That's it. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Seeing no one, go to council. We have a motion to approve by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilwoman Rocca. Councilman Gode.
Yeah, well, I guess it's Dr. Wade to address the concerns that were expressed. Okay, is there anyone who can address Ms. Amelia's concerns?
Dr. Wade is not here. She's on vacation, Councilman.
So you got the short straw?
Excuse me?
You got the short straw?
I got the short straw. So, in consultation with what's going on, we've been talking to both the juvenile court and juvenile services to render services. Space, monies, and the commitment to the kids are all things that we look at when we're working on programs out at juvenile services. Increasing the educational programs, having direct services for them on site. This has been something that has been going on. SFINS is on site at the juvenile services, and we have a former prosecutor who works for us now in the form of Ms. Aisla Burgess, who may be able to answer some more in-depth questions if you have them.
Yeah, well, it was my appreciation from reading the description on the agenda. This is social needs for children and families, and that's what FINS is, families in needs of services. Ms. Amelia, maybe I can ask you, expand please on what your concerns were. I wasn't making the connection, and so I'm hopeful that what's been said has addressed your issue. Thank you, ma'am.
So, and I do understand what you're saying, that it's been in place, but
Yes,
it hasn't been working. It hasn't been working. And so as a community leader and being out in community and speaking with families that are directly impacted and underserved, I think a different approach needs to happen. We need to start looking at social work and maybe more community resources. This FINS thing I'd like to see the metrics. How about that? Because I don't see it happening with boots on the ground.
Okay.
And I think that in school, if they're missing school, it's not every kid that wants to miss school. Sometimes they really have to miss school because of what's going on at home. We need to dig a little deeper and find out what's going on at home and stop putting law enforcement in every aspect of a black child's life.
But I know your voice and trust your voice, and I appreciate it. That's why I wanted to inquire on what you were asking. I do see that there's quarterly fiscal reports, programmatic reports, so I'm happy to help make a connection to get you the information you're looking for. Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you. I appreciate it.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, the item's been properly motioned and seconded. Is there any opposition? Motion carries. Item 144, authorizing Mayor President to execute a professional services contract on behalf of the Library Board of Control with Volunteers of America of FCLA for comprehensive social work services at the East Baton Rouge Parish Library, including administrative support and management for contract workers in the amount not to exceed $160,000 by the library director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion approved by Councilman Hurst, second by Councilman Kinney. Is there any opposition?
I'll go again. Sorry.
Councilman Gode, sorry.
Apparently I'm curious tonight. Sorry. Is the library director in? Hello, Ms. Mayor.
Hey, Councilman.
If you'll just outline the responsibilities for the contracted person and why you feel like this is a priority for the library. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Since 2016, when we first began a relationship with the Volunteers of America, we have arranged for caseworkers and social workers to pop in at libraries throughout the parish, and we have gradually built up a regular schedule so that our community members can kind of know when to come and get that special help, the kinds of help that they're giving us at 8 locations now on assignment, and then other locations as needed. So if we're seeing that there's a little issues, even out at Pride Cheneyville, they will deploy out there. We're also working, of course, with the mobile team, but we have a case manager, an outreach worker, and 8 locations giving service every week. They do give us reports of what they're helping the citizens of the community with, and they are available on phone after hours because, as you know, the library is open after 4 and 5 in the evening, even though many agencies are closed. So this gives us a place to call where somebody who knows all the stuff can help our staff help our community.
Thank you. And obviously, this is for persons who may be experiencing homelessness. And so they're not assigned to one particular library. You're deploying them across the community.
That's right. And we work with the branch staff who might see that there's a pattern of somebody coming in to a particular library, not just the main library, not just the River Center branch, but anywhere. Could be Greenwell Springs. The questions that we're getting have to do with bus passes, veteran services, so important, bus ticket home project, how to get to Veterans Court, how to get an ID, and all the things related to young children and SNAP and these so important resources that we need to provide to the community.
Thank you. And they're connected to the one-stop resources,
Yes.
our HMIS system. Thank you so much, Mayor. Appreciate your
Yes, sir.
commitment. Thank you.
All right.
Councilman Hurst.
No, you can stay at that. It's just a kudos. And a lot of people always ask about the library and how we differentiate ourselves from other library systems in the country, right? So what are best practices around the country? Well, Baton Rouge is creating best practices. And so dealing with the indigent population, dealing with people who are formerly incarcerated, dealing with tons of tools, resources for workforce development that you may not get in other municipalities, not let alone the United States, but the state of Louisiana. And so I just want to say hats off. And when people ask questions, why? Where's the money going? What are we doing? How are we impacting the people? Why are these resources at the library? Because the library here is not just for books. It's a hub where people can gain tools, resources, wraparound services, and a whole lot more. So thank you for all that you do and leading the charge with East Baton Rouge Parish Library.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay, we have a motion second. Motion was by Councilman Hurst, second by Councilman Kenny. Is there any opposition? Oh, Councilwoman Coleman. Mike, Councilwoman.
Got it. I guess, when you allude to the homeless population, tell me what you do with them and for them, because I see many of them still hanging around. I want to know it's like catching a fish. What do? You catch it and leave it on the side of the banks, or do you actually do something with that? So tell me about, and then tell me some numbers as to what you all have done in the past.
Okay, so of course the question of persons experiencing homelessness is so layered and complex. And I will tell you, most citizens of the parish would not realize if they're talking to someone, they are one paycheck away from experiencing homelessness, or 2 paychecks. And we see we see people that we assume are experiencing homelessness at every location, not just the River Center branch, not just the main library. They're in Zachary, they're in Greenwell Springs, they're in Eden Park. Some are young people who've been kicked out of their homes, and they will tell you their story. And so the question there is getting them involved in whatever social net is available for up to age 17. And then when they're 18, of course, the rules change. So that's a matter of our staff and people such as these VOA caseworkers connecting them with the right agency to kind of help them on a path. As you know, not everyone who is experiencing homelessness wants to be helped or is ready to be helped. That's a whole other kettle of fish. And that's why we like the experienced case manager, social workers who have that expertise to help serve as a liaison to see, is someone ready?
I understand all of that.
Uh-huh.
And working with the homeless population is nothing new to me.
Right.
When I walk in the morning, I see them all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I am asking what services are being provided, what are your numbers, what has been done. And I understand about VOA and all
Sure.
of these and the one stop and the other stop and all of that. I'm asking for specific information about this population that you are saying that you're serving. What is actually being provided for them?
So here's an example. If we find someone asleep in the doorstep or on the stage at the main library or behind the gazebo in the park, a whole family was living there, we reach out to the street team, to Continuum of Care to start, and whoever's in our database, and say, we'd like you to make a visit here. We, of course, have made visits and say, is there anything we can help you with? We have care packages that we give them, with the same kinds of things that ministerial programs give out, so there can be something for health concerns, sanitary concerns. Of course, as long as someone is inside our library, if they obey the rules of public behavior, they are welcome to stay. So the libraries are shelters during the day, into the evening, all over the parish for anyone of any reason who doesn't want to be at their home. And they are welcome as long as they abide by the same rules and regulations that everyone else is abiding by. And if they cannot fit with those rules of behavior, they are asked to leave. And if they will not leave, then they're assisted in leaving. If they can come back another day with a fresh start, absolutely, we welcome them. Just like we welcome a teenager who's having a rough day and maybe needs a little time out from the library. We welcome back the next day for a fresh start. So we're working with the agencies, if they're ready to talk about employee BR or talk with our career coach. We have had wonderful success stories where someone in the Alice population had a bad situation, was homeless, couch surfed or car surfed for quite some time, and now has jobs. Of course, we have some of those success stories, and some we're allowed to share, but some for privacy reasons we're not ever going to share, other than there was a lot of joy when someone finally connected with a job that could deliver enough money for them to pay a rent, pay the car bill, and put food on the table for themselves and their child. So it's wonderful to have those stories.
Councilwoman, you want your extra time?
No, I don't need it. I thank you.
Okay, all right. It is a village.
Anyone else? Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 145, authorizing Mayor President to amend the professional services contract with Convenient Care LLC, Total Occupational Medical, to add cancer screening services for retired and active firefighters and fire service employees with the Baton Rouge Fire Department in an amount not to exceed $395,000 annually by the Human Resources Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilwoman Adams, second by Councilman Hurst. Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 146, authorizing Mayor President to execute a contract for surveying and utility engineering services with Wagner Engineering, Inc. for services associated with East Baton Rouge Flood Risk Reduction Project, Lively Bayou, and tributary clearing and snagging in an amount not to exceed $262,839 by the Transportation and Drainage Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Moak, second by Councilman Hurst. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 147, authorizing the mayor president to execute a contract for surveying and utility engineering services with NTB Associates, Inc. for services associated with the East Baton Rouge Flood Risk Reduction Project, Weiner Creek clearing and snagging in an amount not to exceed $127,600 by the Transportation and Drainage Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilwoman Harris, second by Councilwoman Amorosa. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 148, authorizing Mayor President to execute a contract for surveying and utility engineering services with NTB Associates, Inc. for services associated with the East Baton Rouge Flood Risk Reduction Project, Amite River and Tributaries Watershed Flood Risk Management Project, Upper Ward Creek clearing and snagging in an amount not to exceed $497,000 by Transportation and Drainage Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilwoman Adams, second by Councilman Hurst. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 149, authorizing the mayor president to execute a contract for surveying and utility engineering services with Wagner Engineering, Inc. for services associated with the East Baton Rouge Flood Risk Reduction Project, Upper Bayou Fountain clearing and snagging in an amount not to exceed $235,311.90 by Transportation and Drainage Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilwoman Adams, second by Councilwoman Harris. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 150, authorizing the mayor president to execute a contract for construction inspection services with WTAA Engineers, Inc. for construction inspection services associated with Move BR ADA transition and enhancement projects in an amount not to exceed $480,000 by the Transportation and Drainage Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilwoman Harris, second by Councilwoman Coleman. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 151, authorizing the mayor president to execute a supplemental agreement for professional engineering services with T. Baker Smith LLC, Holland Road at Piku Lane Enhancement Project in an amount not to exceed $65,627.04 by the Transportation and Drainage Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilman Goday. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 152, authorizing the mayor president to execute a memorandum of understanding between the state of Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development and the city of Baton Rouge, parish of East Baton Rouge, to provide for the responsibilities and funding for replacement of subsurface drainage from DOTD right-of-way south of I-10 eastbound between City Park Lake and Perkins Road in an amount of $1,750,000 by the Transportation and Drainage Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilwoman Coleman, second by Councilwoman Adams. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 153, authorizing the mayor president to grant a contract renewal with Unum to provide a dental insurance plan for the city parish employee benefits effective January 1st, 2026 by Human Resources Director. We're going to take some of these together. Or can we? Probably not, because it's different. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Motion by Councilwoman Rocca, second by Councilwoman Amorosa. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 154, authorizing the mayor president to grant a contract renewal with MetLife Insurance Company to provide voluntary vision insurance coverage for city parish employee benefits effective January 1st, 2026 by Human Resources Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilwoman Rocca, second by Councilwoman Harris. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 155, authorizing mayor president to grant a contract renewal with MetLife Insurance Company to provide voluntary basic and optional term life insurance coverage for city parish employee benefits effective January 1st, 2026 by the Human Resources Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion. Councilwoman Rocca.
Hi, is the Human Resource Director here?
Hi, how are you?
My aide, Gloria Grimion, emailed you earlier yesterday and then again today because we had, I guess, her concerns and then some concerns of other employees, probably mostly here on the third floor, with regard to, and I don't even know if this is the proper item, but with regard to the Transamerica cancer policy, and that one being dropped and considered self-pay. Can you explain to our employees that are listening and that are concerned exactly what that means to them, what self-pay means, if that policy that they've paid on for 10 plus years, if that's still available to them and in what capacity, just so there's a general understanding of what's going on?
Sure. For our retirees and our employees, they can continue their Transamerica policy at the same rate that they are currently paid. What they will simply need to do is contact Transamerica and let them know that they're interested in continuing that benefit. And then from that point forward, Transamerica would direct bill that retiree or employee.
And so whenever they say self-pay, that would be directly billed to their home, in their mailbox, wherever they are?
Correct, directly billed to them by Transamerica.
Okay, and then with regard to the rates changing, can you speak to that? Because I believe that there was a rate fee sheet request and some questions regarding that piece.
Right. For the current policy with Transamerica is based off of a monthly flat fee. The policy with MetLife critical illness, which includes cancer coverage, is age-based. So to try to compare apples to apples, the average city parish employee is age 44. So if an employee had employee-only coverage under our MetLife critical illness policy, which includes cancer coverage, that amount is about $23.40. The equivalent with our Transamerica cancer policy is $36.80. So it is a decrease with us having that cancer coverage under critical illness, which does include other services as well.
Thank you so much. So all of these things that are changed before us tonight are for efficiencies and for cost-saving measures to the employees, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, thank you so much. And then one last question. If our employees have these questions, obviously they are welcome to reach out to the council members, but is there someone that they should contact with your office to guide them through these changes? I know the aides know how to find you, but there are other employees. We have 4,000 plus or whatever that number is these days.
Yes. Our HR Payroll and Benefits Division is the contact. That number is 389-3134. We're open 8 to 5, phone, email, and we have a team of HR professionals that are available to help.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Rocco. Do we have a second? Second by Councilwoman Adams. Councilman Dunn Jr.
Ms. Pearson, could you come up, please? Just looking at all these items, a few before this one, a couple more after this one, it appears to me that this is the first time they've been itemized in this way on the agenda, and correct me if I'm wrong. And if I'm not wrong, just kind of help me understand why they're being itemized like this. And I think before they were all in one item. Can you talk me through that and give me some clarity on it?
I think over the past couple of years, we started the policies at different times. So that's why you haven't seen them in this one group. One policy may have been in 2002, another in 2007. But for a fresh look at all of our ancillary benefits, we did a RFQ to make sure we're providing the best benefit coverage to our employees. So that's why you're seeing them in a group now, because all of our ancillary benefits were evaluated this year.
So they all went out for some sort of solicitation?
Yes.
It seems like MetLife won them all, huh?
MetLife, they submitted a proposal for most of our products.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Item's been properly motioned and seconded. Is there any opposition? Motion carries. Item 156, authorizing Mayor President to grant a contract renewal with Unum to provide voluntary long-term disability insurance coverage for city parish employee benefits effective January 1st, 2026 by the Human Resources Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilwoman Coleman, second by Councilwoman Harris. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 157, authorizing the mayor president to grant a contract renewal with MetLife Insurance Company to provide voluntary critical illness insurance coverage for city parish employee benefits effective January 1st, 2026 by the Human Resources Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, go to council. Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilwoman Amorosa, second by Councilwoman Coleman. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 158, authorizing mayor president to file an application and execute an agreement with MetLife Insurance Company to provide voluntary accident insurance coverage for city parish employee benefits effective January 1st, 2026 by Human Resources Director. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilwoman Adams, second by Councilwoman Coleman. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 159, authorizing mayor president to execute an amendment to the professional services contract with Corson Nickel for governmental relations and strategic planning legislative services to add that the services are specifically also provided to and at the direction of the Metropolitan Council by Councilman Brandon Knoll. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item? Seeing no one, go to council. Does anybody wish to speak about this? Okay. I'd like to call Callie up, please, just to talk about this a little bit. So while they're coming up, this item, as some of you well know, the contract previously was written in a manner that included us as well as the administration. That was changed, I believe, a few years back by the previous administration. I've discussed this with the current administration about what we're looking to do, just to kind of go back to how it was, so that we can utilize their services as well. Callie, can you kind of give a few specifics on what the changes would look like reverting back to the old way and what we're talking about here?
Sure. Okay, in the 2025 agreement, it says on behalf of the Office of the Mayor President, that will be deleted, and it will only be on behalf of the city parish. In the scope of services, in the 2025 agreement, it says, under the direction of the Office of the Mayor President, that will also be deleted to include on behalf of the city parish. The city parish is defined as the Mayor President, the Metro Council, through the Council Administrator. So that will be the change for the scope. In Section 6 of the 2025 agreement, it says that in coordination with the Office of the Mayor President, that will be amended to say in coordination with the Office of the Mayor President and Council Administrator. It also says at the direction of the Office of the Mayor President, testify on behalf of the city parish. At the direction of the Office of the Mayor President will be deleted. The last provision that will be added will be Section B, and that reads, it is understood and agreed by both parties that these services shall serve the interests and objectives of the city parish and parish of East Baton Rouge and its associated boards and facilities. In the event there is a disagreement between the EBR Council and Mayor President on the position of the EBR parish government on an issue or legislative instrument, Corson Nickel shall not lobby, advocate, or otherwise be involved in the issue or consideration of the legislative instrument in any fashion or manner.
Okay, and so just to be clear, this is creating the verbiage to be like it was previously.
That's correct.
Okay, and so, I think ideally the way I see this being utilized going forward would be everything that's pre-filed prior to session. We would obviously meet with the administration, we would meet with Corson and Nickel, have discussions about what we want to see, and I think as a body, for us, when there's items that we want to see action on, or the administration, we would bring it probably for a resolution individually before this body to decide where we stand. And
that language will remain in there.
Okay. So just for some clarity, that's what we're looking at here, and that's what we're asking. Thank you so much, Callie. I appreciate it. Anybody else? I'll make a motion to approve. Second by Councilwoman Adams. Is there any opposition? Thank you. Motion carries. Item 160, approving the levy and assessment pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statutes 33-9038.76 E2B of the sales and use tax and hotel occupancy tax within the Southern University Economic Development District as established by the district's Board of Commissioners by Councilwoman Carolyn Coleman. Anyone here wishing to speak on this item?
Council members, you should have received one email comment in opposition to item 160.
We made it all the way to 160 without comment. Pretty good. Seeing none, we're going to go to council. Motion by Councilwoman Coleman, second by Councilman Kenny. Is there any opposition? Motion carries. We're going to go to administrative matters. We have one administrative matter introduction. A resolution providing official notice of intent to incorporate the Baton Rouge Airport Authority for the operation of the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Airport in accordance with Act Number 118 of the 2025 regular session and adopting articles of incorporation to form and incorporate said authority pursuant to the act at a public hearing scheduled for 4 p.m. on August 27, 2025 by Councilman Cleve Dunn Jr. and Councilman Aaron Moak. This is to introduce for public hearing meeting on August 27, 2025. Need a motion to waive the rules to allow the item to be introduced. Motion by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilman Moak. We're going to have a public hearing on the motion to waive the rules. Would anyone wishing to speak on the motion to waive the rules? Seeing none, we're going to go to council. Is there any opposition on the motion to waive the rules? Now we're going to need a motion to introduce the items. Motion by Councilman Dunn Jr., second by Councilman Moak. Any opposition? Motion carries. Items have been introduced. Appointments. We're going to take these in groups. Complete Streets all as one, and then Housing Authority as one. 161 Complete Streets Citizens Advisory Committee, one appointment to replace Eric Dexter, current ballot Deidre Robert. 162 Complete Streets Citizens Advisory Committee, one appointment to concur in the nomination by the Federation of Greater Baton Rouge Civic Association. The current ballot is Charles Roby Shields. 163 Complete Streets Citizens Advisory Committee, one appointment to concur in the nomination by the Baton Rouge Growth Coalition. Current ballot Lawrence Lambert. 164 Complete Streets, one appointment to concur in the nomination of Bike Baton Rouge. Current ballot Stephen Poss. 165 Complete Streets, one appointment to concur with the nomination by Louisiana State University. Current ballot Dennis Mitchell. 166 Complete Streets, one appointment to concur in the nomination by Southern University. Current ballot Dr. Peter Breaux. 167 Complete Streets, one appointment to concur in the nomination by the Board of the Mayor's Health City Initiative. Current ballot Rachel DiResto. Anyone here wishing to speak on these items? Seeing none, we're going to go to council. We have a motion to approve the nominees. Motion by Councilwoman Adams, second by Councilman Goday. Any opposition? Motion carries. Congratulations, everybody. Yes, ma'am. Councilwoman Amoroso.
One, does the gentleman not want to be reappointed, Eric Dexter?
No.
So we need to appoint somebody for that position.
We did.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, apologize.
You already did. All right, 168 and 169, we're going to take together. Housing Authority of East Baton Rouge, consideration of reappointing or replacing Chris Brown, tenant representative. This is a 5-year term. 9 votes are required. Current ballot is Chris Brown. He's requested reappointment. 169, Housing Authority of East Baton Rouge, consideration of replacing Terry Landry Jr., who resigned. The current ballot is Rashana Hunter, who submitted an application. Anyone here wishing to speak on these items? Seeing none, we're going to go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilwoman Rocca, second by Councilwoman Coleman. Any opposed? Motion carries. Change orders. We're going to take 170 through 175 together. 170 Long Farm Regional Gravity Sewer Extension, contractor Boone Services LLC, credit of $391.70. 171 Flannery Road, Florida Boulevard Area Rehabilitation Project Phase 3, contractor NCMC LLC, credit of $210,193.24. 172 South Boulevard Area ADA Transition Project, contractor Grady Crawford Construction, Inc. of Baton Rouge, $16,576.70. 173, parish-wide traffic calming improvements, speed signs, contractor Traffic Commander LLC, $47,436. 174, McCoast Road clearing and grubbing, contractor M&J Civil Construction LLC, $6,058.82. And 175, Sales Tax Street and Road Rehabilitation Program Project 18-4, Prescott, Mohican, Streets in Garden City, Shelley Street, Adams Lane, and streets off of Plainsport Hudson, contractor Barber Brothers Contracting Company LLC, change order amount $383,420.44. Anyone wishing to speak on these items? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Councilman Hudson.
Fred, real quick on item 173. I just was reading over it real quick, and it looks like the description says install 2 signs and then 4 on another street, so a total of 6 signs. So am I reading that right? 6 signs cost us $47,000?
Yeah, these are the speed signs that we've been putting out throughout the parish under the enhancement program, and that's
like
for the
is this like a radar sign?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Councilman Hudson, second by Councilwoman Coleman. Any opposition? Motion carries. Final acceptances. 176 through 178 together. 176, Long Farm Regional Gravity Sewer Extension, contractor Boone Services LLC, final cost $725,159.30. 177, Flannery Road, Florida Boulevard Area Rehabilitation Project Phase 3, contractor NCMC LLC, final cost $952,806.76. Item 178, Sales Tax Street and Road Rehabilitation Program Project 18-4, Prescott, Mohican, Streets in Garden City, Shelley Street, Adams Lane, and streets off of Plainsport Hudson, contractor Barber Brothers Contract Company LLC, final cost $5,859,469.44. Anyone here wishing to speak on these items? Seeing none, we'll go to council. We have a motion. Motion by Councilman Goday, second by Councilman Hurst. Any opposed? Motion carries. Acceptance of low bids, 179 through 188 will be taken together. 179, Pride Fire District, Indian Mile Station, Restart, Hopkins Construction and Maintenance LLC, $2,763,000. 180, Public Safety Complex H2, Health Unit Tenant Build-Out, Capital Construction LLC, $5,205,000. 181, Energy Management for Libraries, installation of new energy management system at the Jones Creek Regional Branch Library to maintain the HVAC system. Louisiana Controls, $119,750. 182, East Boulevard Government Street Area Sewer Rehabilitation Project Phase 2, Triumph Construction LLC, $430,680. 183, Mohican Street Area ADA Transition Project, Triumph Construction LLC, $421,987.60. 184, Groom Road, McHugh to Plank, KCR Contractors LLC, $5,564,187.10. 185, George O'Neill Sidewalk Project, Paducah to Kennesaw, Arbor Construction LLC, $257,738. 186, South Harrells Ferry Road, Bike Lane, Sherwood Forest to O'Neill Lane, Triumph Construction LLC, $1,133,756.50. 187, Evangeline Street, Alamonster Drive, and Evangeline Street Area ADA Transition Project, Pro Civil LLC, $498,673. 188, South Sherwood Forest Sidewalks, Coursey Boulevard to I-12, Triumph Construction LLC, $843,376. Anyone here wishing to speak on these items?
Council members, you should have received an email comment in opposition to items 185, 186, and 188. And we have a request from the department to delete item 179.
Request from the department to delete 179. Why? Can somebody speak on why we're deleting 179? Is Joe here? Yeah. This thing has been delayed plenty of times. I want to know why. Can anybody speak to this on why we're delaying 179? Well, what happens if we approve it and it needs to be deleted?
They have to put it back on the agenda. If you go ahead and approve it, and if the department has an issue, they would have to put an item on the agenda to rescind the approval.
Should we defer it? Can we defer it? Would that be a problem? It's okay. I'm gonna defer it.
August 13th.
Yeah. So I'll make a motion, we defer 179 to the August meeting, August 13th, and approve the other items. Second by Councilman Moak. Any opposition? Motion carries. Item 189, receiving second quarter 2025 report from the East Baton Rouge Parish Communications District by Councilman Roddy Godet. We're going to receive the report and then we'll have the public hearing. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you all, council members. So this is the second quarterly report for the East Baton Rouge Parish Communication District. So back on March 11th, the Communication District Board Chairman, Sheriff Sid Gotro, submitted a letter to this council stating that the board believes that the City of St. George should have representation on the Communication District Board, either by replacing a current member or by adding additional seats to the board. On April 1st of this year, Representative Emily Chenevert authored House Bill 242 requesting that the language in the Louisiana Revised Statute 339103A6 be amended to allow 2 additional seats on the board, so going from a 7-person board to a 9-person board. The House and Senate passed HB 242, which was signed by Governor Landry on June 8th of this year, and that HB became Act 165 with an effective date of August 1st, thus clearing the path to add the City of St. George to the board after August 1st. So we have our 911 upgrade project that is still ongoing. It's moving ahead according to schedule, and we're transitioning to a new next generation call handling system and a new EZNet network that allows that next generation 911 system to ride on. We're also upgrading our CAD system, which is the computer-aided dispatch. This project is moving ahead nicely. We're upgrading our CAD network and infrastructure, which will increase the performance of the CAD while adding additional security and redundancy to the dispatch system. We also had our North Tower project, which the North Tower project is a new communication tower for the first responders of the parish. It's located on the east side of Zachary at 6330 Port Hudson Pride Road. The last section of the tower was installed on July 8th, which it's a 300-foot tower, so it'll be able to reach a large section of the north end of the parish. And so the tower is now fully erected. There's still work to be done with the tower, such as installing antennas, but the project is currently ahead of schedule. And then the tower has 2 spots also available to be able to lease spots to cellular phone companies to provide additional cellular cell phone coverage in that area. And this will allow for better cellular reception when people in those areas are making 911 calls. So I'm happy to answer any questions that y'all might have.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to have a public hearing on the item. Anyone wish to speak on the item, on the report? Seeing none, go to council. Councilman Moak.
The cellular carriers that y'all be looking at, will those be primarily based on ones that enhance emergency operations, as in AT&T's FirstNet or Verizon's system that specifically enhance first responders' cellular service that are signed up for the service?
No, sir. It would actually be for the, on the public side of things, though, like AT&T FirstNet, a lot of times, they would also be able to have those antennas on there also with their services.
So FirstNet or Verizon, which both specifically have emergency operation services, that if you're signed up for that service, or if you're a first responder personnel, you're signed up for a specific service and so on.
Yeah.
You only have two carriers on the net. So if T-Mobile comes up and says, I want one spot, and US Cellular comes up and says, I want the other spot, you're saying there's still a FirstNet or there's an emergency operation cellular carrier that will still be on the tower also?
The main purpose of the tower is for our radio
UHF,
communications.
VHF communication, correct?
And then the cellular spots is just the size of the tower does allow for those two additional spots. So there's not necessarily a purpose other than the lease amount that would be able to have from those type of carriers would help pay for the maintenance of the tower.
Right. Well, I guess as a recommendation, I would suggest, if possible, I don't know if you just go put it out for bid or see who wants to use that tower. I just know of two carriers that specifically work on first responder basis, as far as city, parish, different municipalities, nationwide, and so on, that specifically cater to a first response scenario. If certain towers go down, if they have to ramp up mobile units or whatever, they carry the first responder, FirstNet services, and things like that. I would ask that you, on your towers and stuff, that you prioritize possibly talking to them first. Just my opinion.
Councilman Gode.
Thank you, Jim. On the first item you referenced, House Bill 242, 2 additional seats being added to the board. There was an August 1st date when it goes into effect, so that's in the coming weeks. Is that on this body to make the recommendations? Will your board come to us with recommendations? How do you envision that working?
It is on this body to actually assign the people that would fill those seats. We actually have a special meeting tomorrow. It hasn't been thoroughly discussed on as far as having the chairman of the board probably reach out to the board to go ahead and make that suggestion of having y'all go ahead and move forward with that.
The language of that legislation doesn't specifically say St. George mayor, correct?
No, it does not.
Okay, so is your special meeting tomorrow related to that topic?
It is not. The reason that this initiative was put forth was to allow for a seat for the city of St. George. There's other seats on the board, which is the city of Baker, the city mayor, the city of Zachary, mayor, and the city of Central mayor. So the idea was that the city of St. George, now that they are actually a city, that they should also have representation on the board.
Good. Yeah, and it'd be my recommendation that we have the Mayor's Office of Homeland Security represented there because of the role that they play in our parish-wide communications. I will talk to the chair, but we'll certainly see what comes forward to this body. The 911 upgrade, you mentioned it was on schedule. What's the timeline for that?
It should be ready before the end of the year. There's some things, some factors that kind of make it up to the carriers. All the different carriers that provide phone service, they all have to move all their services from where they currently go and point them, which is they currently point at AT&T, and they will be pointing at in digital. So it's that transition period that's kind of an unknown. The company that we're using in digital for that back end side core services have a really good track record of working with all these vendors. Mm-hmm. But again, it's still up to those vendors to move quickly.
Thank you. And then outline the item that y'all are considering tomorrow. It's called PSAP.
Yes, it's the to go along with the new 911 system, there's the maps that have to be entered in, so we'll know exactly where the routing of all the 911 calls, where they actually go. So we're going from an older analog system that where the location of an individual call is really up to about 1,000 feet area, to with the new next generation core services, where you see on your phone the little blue dot, where that blue dot is, we know that that's exactly where you are. So having that in there will allow us to really tighten how we divide up the parish as far as where we can route calls to. Previously, there was only 3 places in the entire parish that we could route calls to. One is to Harding Boulevard, which EMS is actually who does it, and then the city of Baker, which was basically the rough area of the city of Baker, and then the city of Zachary, which was again the rough area of the city of Zachary. That's all we had. Now we would be able to divide it up however we want to into as many chunks to be able to point the calls to whichever PSAP that we would like to do. One of the things that's being proposed is a PSAP for the city of St. George, which would, in essence, a PSAP, public safety answering point, is where 911 calls are initially answered. So currently, St. George does receive 911 calls, but only calls that are transferred to them. This will allow those calls to be initially answered at that location.
And Baker and Zachary have that capability as well?
Correct.
Okay. And you were saying rough areas of those, or did I misunderstand you?
Again, whenever you're talking about within 1,000 feet or so, as far as the accuracy is,
Gotcha.
we can draw our map is
Approximate. Yeah.
very tight, but
Good.
it's within 1,000 feet or so.
What's located at Bonacary Shopping Center?
So that's
Councilman, you can watch extra time?
Please.
So that's our backup system, backup location, and the offices of the communication district. It's where my office is. We call it the BUC, B-U-C-C, the Backup Unified Communication System. It's to allow for a location if such a place as our Harding location, which has 45 individual seats, lots of different agencies, they're receiving these 911 calls and dispatching. If that building goes dark for some reason, any reason, it allows for a secondary location for all those agencies to be able to move to.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Thanks so much. I had a question about, I watched that 300-foot tower go up on Pride Port Hudson, and it looks great. I did have a question. It just came to mind while I was watching, and I'm not saying this one is or isn't, but it being so tall, when they erect those, do they look at structures that could be in the fall line? Because I know that comes up on insurance a lot, and can be problematic, and with insurance carriers seemingly looking for any reason to not cover someone. I didn't know if that was something. There's a subdivision across the street. One house is built near that, and there's another lot available, and then of course there's neighbors. And I don't think Mr. Perwinski's doing anything more on his property now, but I didn't know if that was a consideration, if that's looked at, if that's part of the scope of where.
As the design of the tower, which I can't speak to, I'm not an architect, but they're made not to fall over. They actually crumple. Generally, they'll crumple around, almost to call it like in a circle, keeping the footprint of any collapse very small.
Okay. All right. That's all I had. Councilman Dunn Jr.
Thank you. You mentioned about the new legislation and the addition of the 2 seats to give St. George some representation. Can you break down the current makeup of the board, who those specific appointments are for? You mentioned 2 seats for St. George, but I want to see what you were saying was the seats allocated for the other cities.
So currently the board is set at 7, with the chairman of the board being Sheriff Sid Gotro. The mayors of Baker, Zachary, and Central all have seats on the board. And then on the city parish side, there's the Baton Rouge Fire Chief, there's the EMS Director, and then the Baton Rouge Police Chief does have a seat on the board, though he has a a person that sits on the board for him, which is Deputy Chief Myron Daniels.
So let me make sure I'm understanding you. The seat that the sheriff sits in is an appointment or designee for the sheriff?
It is, I can't say that it's an appointment of the sheriff. He was,
Yeah, that's
whenever,
I
whenever the
understand.
seats were
You're telling
created.
me who's sitting there. I'm asking
Yes.
you, who are the appointees, or who is the designation for it? Does the legislation, old or current, state that?
So there is legislation that names individual seats. I know that there's, our legal advisor has expressed concern about any legislation that names a specific entity, such as, and it's really naming an individual person is actually what is supposed to happen, because you're not naming a seat to say that the Baton Rouge City Police Chief has a seat. It should be the individual
So
that's appointed to it.
none of the seats in the previous or the new legislation is designated for a city or position. It's just you're
It's
looking for a certain
individuals.
representation.
Yes, it's individuals that represent those areas.
Say again?
It's individuals who then represent those areas.
Gotcha. Okay. So that leads to my next question. You and Councilman Gaudet was talking about the chair of your board and sending recommendations. It would be the same process, Ashley, that any other appointment goes through. Those interested would submit that to us, right?
Correct. If I can maybe shed a little bit of light, and I think Mr. Berlander was trying to be diplomatic about it, but we have our state statute does not coincide neatly with the city parish ordinance on this board. It's been a matter that Parish Attorney's Office and I have worked on through the years, trying to get those two not to conflict. And we haven't had much luck pushing them forward. I think now would be a great time for us to address that and make sure that the local ordinance matches the state law. But to your question, yes, any open vacancy on a board or commission goes through the application process, and it's purely Metropolitan Council determination of who to appoint to those seats.
Well, that kind of reinforces my concern. The next item, 191, we seeking clarification or advice from the AG on the Brett Commission and those appointments with new legislation. We had discussions about blight legislation and is it in conflict or concert with our charter, and do the state have authority to dictate to us what we should do as it relates to blight or what have you. And we feel and was advised that we already have the authority to handle blight in the way that our charter says. And I'm just making an overall point. It seems like we have a lot of issues, whether it's commissions or legislation coming down the pipe from the previous legislative session that's not in concert with our either ordinance or our city charter. So I just want to offer up, I'd like for us to get some clarity on this and make decisions on these items to see how we proceed, because it seems like a lot of confusion on this item, 191, the blight item. It just seems like a lot of confusion.
Councilman Moak?
The two spots that are being added, just one of them is for City of St. George, correct?
None of them are
Specifically to the City of St. George?
For any, the board has recommended that they would like to see the City of St. George represented on the board. Now,
Okay.
as far as what seats, who gets what seats,
But
again,
you're
that's up.
adding two seats. One, you want a representative from the City of St. George, whether it be the mayor or his designatee, correct?
Correct.
And the other one is just to off balance instead of having an equal number on the board. So it could be anybody from the parish.
It can be, y'all can appoint anybody that y'all wish to appoint.
I mean, both of them could be anybody from the parish, but we want to balance it out like Baker Central, Zachary, their mayors or designatee. We want to do that for St. George. That's most likely, probably could be one spot. The other one is just for the offset the amount of votes that would happen on a board.
It can be seen that way, yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm just making sure that we're not designating both of these for St. George.
Hey, I guess it's not my decision, so,
Councilman Hurst.
So he beat me to the punch. I thought Cleve was going to ask it. That's why I took my name off. He did and Aaron did. So when we talk about one, I do, absolutely. Because my concern was that if every other municipality has one based on what you just said, other than the mayor president who can have dual roles, obviously parish president and then the mayor of Baton Rouge.
which has 3.
And that's fine. It's absolutely. Really not has 3, but we've appointed people at his
Correct.
Request. But why would St. George be considered, because that came out of your mouth, for 2 seats? That's what he said. We heard it. I promise you, you said it. Now, you might not, it might have been miscommunication.
Apparently miscommunication, because
Oh, okay, yeah, that's why I was like, why would St. George have 2 and every other city have 1 representation, representative for the, okay. All right, good deal. That's all I wanted to know.
Councilman Hudson.
Mr. Verlander, my appreciation is that none of the seats on this board are designated to anyone in particular, right? What we're talking about is how it's worked out so far, right?
correct.
Okay. In your discussion with the board on adding the 2 additional seats, so that I don't ask this question in any sort of leading way, what was their reasoning for adding 2 additional seats?
The reason was to be able to provide St. George a seat on the board. There was discussion initially of whether or not that would be having somebody who's on the board step down to allow the person from St. George to step in, which, you know, as the discussions went, the discussion was the city parish does have 3, each one of the mayors have 1, so there was the discussion of would city parish be willing to give up one of their seats to allow that seat for the mayor.
Right.
That was apparently not very well received, and it was thought that, okay, well, if that's not the direction, then the only other option is to increase the amount of seats to go from 7 to 9. That way it's an odd number.
Odd number, right. And I think that's a key, right?
Yes, and at least one of the seats be for St. George representative. There has been communication with some of the board members that they would like to see both seats go to St. George. And then there's the opposite side of people that would like to see one of the seats go for St. George and another seat go for the city, another city parish representative.
Right. And so the communication that has happened around 2 seats for St. George, it's my appreciation that the reasoning for that is based off of population, right? So you've got 3 seats for Baton Rouge, which has 250-something thousand population, and then 2 seats for St. George, which it has 90,000 population. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not making arguments either one way or the other. I've heard a lot about this, but I just want to get all the reasonings out there for how we would do it, and ultimately, the discussion is out there that, you know, it's open and we can appoint whoever we want to any of these seats. So.
Yes.
I'm sorry, just a clarification, because I think your statement was inaccurate. You said there were 3 City of Baton Rouge representatives, but EMS is parish-wide.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
that's important clarification. Sheriff is parish-wide. EMS is parish-wide.
City parish appointments is what I meant.
That's what I thought.
They're all city parish. We make all the appointments. And so, I'll make my endorsement as another parish-wide official involved in communications, which is MOSEP.
Councilman Gode. Good on his time?
It was good. I was giving him my time.
That's fine. Okay. Councilwoman Harris.
Can you go over again who currently sits on the board for me, please, sir?
Yes, Sheriff,
Can you give me names of who's currently sitting on the board?
yes.
Okay,
So Sheriff Sid Gotro,
okay.
Mayor Darnell
Wait,
Waits,
okay,
Mayor David McDavid,
okay,
Mayor Wade Evans,
okay,
Chief Michael Kimball,
okay.
Interim Chief Chris Landry,
And he's with,
EMS,
okay,
and Deputy Chief Myron Daniels
Okay.
with Baton Rouge Police.
okay. So you're adding an additional 2 seats, correct? That's what you're asking to do? Not at
That-
this moment, but,
Yeah, that's what state law has been amended to.
okay, okay. So right now, according to what you just gave, East Baton Rouge Parish has more persons sitting on the commission? You stated that?
I want to try to make sure that I'm as clear as
Yeah, because
possible.
they have you
that-
up here and it's like you're trying your best to give us correct information and you're struggling. Do you need someone to help you? Chief Kimball, can you come up for a second, please? So you and I have had this conversation about this whole process and this matter here. Can you lay out for me the conversation you and I have?
Right, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So the Metro Council, as we know, is responsible to appoint individuals to the 911 Communications District.
Correct.
It does not state the mayors of the cities, the fire chief, the police chief, things like that. It's appointed by you guys.
Okay,
So as the board sat, it come to, when the city of St. George become an incorporated area, it was requested by the city of St. George to allow them to have a seat on the board.
okay,
So the board had a discussion and brought it back to you guys to bring it in front of legislation to change the state statute, which says 7 members currently, and change it to 9.
okay,
And then at this point in August, it's coming back to you to appoint 2 new people
okay.
to assist in the board. But it does not state that it's the Zachary mayor, the Baker mayor, the Baton Rouge fire chief. It's the appointments of you guys.
Okay.
It could be anybody.
It could be anybody that's appointed
That's my
to this
interpretation
seat.
of it. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for clearing that up. Thank you, sir.
If there's nobody else, we'll go on to item 190. Thank you, Mr. Verlander.
Thank you.
Yes. Item 190, receiving a report from the City Parish Insurance Consultant and the Department of Human Resources on the status of the City Parish health benefits, current and future plans by Councilwoman Rocca.
We'll receive the report, then have a public hearing. Thank you, gentlemen.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Kevin Gardner. This is Michael Dubriel. We're both with Hub International. We were hired by you in October of last year to be your insurance consultant. So we're going to give you a report of sort of the state of the union of where things stand financially. And like in any business or municipality, opportunities that you have to try to create efficiencies. I think to start out by saying, anytime you're dealing with the health insurance plan, this is probably one of your largest budget items, but it's also one of the most important items to your employees and retirees. So as we go through this, certainly we know you're going to have questions. If you'd like, we can go through the full presentation and then have you come back and answer questions as we go through it. So the first slide, if we can go to this, is going to give you an update on the State of the Union of the budget. So we have actual claims through June 30th of $38,279,000. We then actuarially look back historically to see, do we have higher claims in the first half of the year or the second half of the year? Historically, your claims have trended higher in the second half of the year, so we take that assumption along with trend to give you an estimate of where we think you're going to end up. I want to make sure one thing is clear to all of you all. You all, the city, is on a partially self-funded plan. You're not on a fully insured plan that the premiums are predictable. Your cost of your plan is dependent upon the utilization of the employee and retiree population. So it's an estimate based on those facts of where we believe you're going to end up. One thing we know for sure, you're not going to end up at 79 million. You're either going to be a little higher or a little lower, but this is the best estimate of where we're going to be. If we look at what we budgeted for the 2025 year, you were budgeted to be at 78,657,000. So you're running close to budget. If we're estimating right now and taking a guesstimate based on all those things we talked about, you'll be slightly above budget if things continue as they're going today. So remember, one of the things that we're going to do, and we're going to come back and talk to the council about in future meetings, is we're going to estimate a budget for what 2026 looks like. So 2026 is going to take into account, if we looked at it today, the benefits as you have today, utilization today, and we're going to add trend into that. So trend is inflationary cost of prescription drugs and all the cost of the medical plan, whether it's hospital cost and physician cost. One thing we all know as consumers, none of that goes down on a regular basis. It's always inflationary on what's happening on that. So we're going to be estimating those. So what we're going to go through, and one of the things I think was important to the Human Resource Department, the Financial Department, and you, is do we have opportunities to be able to make the plan more efficient? One thing that I think is being good stewards, all of you and certainly us, the last thing we'll ever look for in savings on a plan is reducing benefits or increasing premiums. That's easy, right? We can make those decisions if we're in a budget situation. The question is going to be, can we find efficiencies in the plan? So if we can go to the next slide, we're going to talk about, for lack of better words, some low-hanging fruit of things that we can do to maximize the program. All of us who have had parents who have retired, and we know when they retire, they have a couple of decisions to make. They can purchase, they're going to be on Medicare, and they can purchase a supplement plan, or they can purchase a Medicare Advantage plan. And that's what the majority of the population has because they don't have retiree coverage. The city is blessed with having retiree coverage. And what has taken place over the last decade or so is your employees have two options. They have an option to participate in a Medicare group program, a group Medicare plan, which is really tailored to your current plan, or they can stay on the current medical plan that is offered to the employee active employees. So when we look at that program, what is that Blue Cross Blue Advantage program? Again, that's the Medicare Advantage plan that's available to those employees. And that plan has about 1,000 members on that plan today. You have about 2,800 total retiree participants that could be on your plan. 1,000 today are on the Medicare Advantage. 1,800 are on your active program. So why is this important? From a good stewardship standpoint, and what is most financially advantageous to both the employee retiree and the city is for those members to be on a Medicare Advantage program. Why is that? A Medicare Advantage program is subsidized by the federal government. Your program that you have when they're on as a retiree that's not on the Medicare Advantage, you're funding that. So it's whether we're using government dollars to help offset and fund our retiree population, or we're using our own dollars. None of this is about taking things away from the employee. But Something happened many years ago around 2000, prior to 2013, that the city was faced with a decision with Blue Cross. When you gave them the opportunity to participate in this program, there was a technology issue with Blue Cross that required the city to put in a coordination of benefits, or a lack of, which gave those retirees who are not active, the retirees on a plan, a better benefit than the active employees. Today, your retirees who elect to stay on the city's plan have a program that covers their deductible and coinsurance, essentially giving them 100% coverage. If you go to other municipalities, and we wrote down just a few, whether it's City of Shreveport, City of Slidell, Ascension Parish School Board, Vermilion Parish School Board, Acadiana Parish School Board, Terrebonne Parish School Board, City of Zachary, City of Pineville, City of Opelousas, all of these, and many, many more, have all given the option to their employees to participate in a Medicare Advantage program. And over time, over 90% have moved to the Medicare Advantage program. Why? It was a better deal for the employees. It was a better benefit. It's less cost, matter of fact, no cost, and the benefits are better. But what we did as a city many years ago is we took away that advantage by paying the employees deductible and coinsurance and incenting them to be on your plan. So when we're trying to find dollars to make your program more efficient, and we're not trying to get in the pocket of your retirees, because one thing that I think all of us realize, every single person's phone will ring if you're taking away benefits from your retirees. But you have created an inefficient plan the way it's set up today. So if you go to the next page, we're going to give you a little bit of examples on that. So option one that you see on your page goes over the Medicare Advantage program, where today we have 1,000 members enrolled in the program. Option two is the Blue Cross group plan that everyone who is under 65 is enrolled on. They have 3 options for that program, and 1,800 people are enrolled in that program. If you looked at it on the surface, to participate in the Medicare Advantage, the premium for those retirees is 0. There's a premium to participate in the current program for the Blue Cross Blue Shield program. So the question again may be, why would someone make that decision unless they felt the coverage was worse to be on the Blue Advantage plan versus the current program? So if you turn to the next page, just to solidify things a little bit more and help you understand the financial impact, and then we're going to talk about the impact to the retiree. The Blue Advantage program is not free to the city. The city in 2025 has to pay $310 per member who's participating. But understand this, the cost, that $310 is set in stone. That's what you will pay in 2025 for this year, no matter the health of that individual. There is no outlier. It's a predicted cost. That cost is going up to $325 in 2026. If we are able to convert, and you give a little bit of an idea of the premiums, I'm going to show you in a second, the claims on our population of employees that are in the current program, not the Medicare Advantage, but in the medical program today that are retirees, those 1,800 people. In 2024, that spend was $14,119,000. Trended for 2026 is $16,638,000. If you average that per member, the cost to participate in that program is $703 per member. And that number fluctuates almost always only up. The cost to participate in the Medicare Advantage in 2026 is $325. Remember, the premium is 0, and the benefits will show you are equal to or better than. So if we go to the next page, We're going to talk about what is the opportunity to the city, and then we're going to talk about the impact and make sure that we are addressing the retirees, which is critical for their benefit. We can really start on the right. If you remember, I brought up, and again, I know this is a lot of information, and it's information overload, but I want to make sure you all understand it, and you take notes and ask me these questions. And Michael, if you remember, there was a glitch we talked about in 2013. To fix that, you decided to pay 100% coverage, deductible and co-insurance for your retirees, making their benefit better. If you just make their benefit equal, the savings is $1.1 million to just make everyone eligible for deductible and co-insurance, just like an active employee. We're not making a retiree have worse than an active, same as an active. So the benefits to make them same as an active employee would save the city $1.1 million. But the bigger thing is, now you're creating an economic reason for a retiree to listen to why the Medicare Advantage program is better. Today, you've taken away that opportunity to even look at it because you gave them everything free. And so if we go to the left and say, we offer this to the employees and we provide exceptional education, and I will tell you this, I know many of the folks in HR and administration are worried about reaction in education and the need to prove to the retirees what we're talking about tonight is correct. But if you provide the appropriate education and you follow the pathway of all these other municipalities and what they've done, this is not a first-time try. They all end up in the 90+% participation. If we got 90% participation, the city would save $8.3 million to make that change. So if we look at the next page, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this next page, but it's trying to give you the math. And it just goes through the 24 spend, which is the amount that we're spending in claims, versus, remember, the city is still going to have to pay a significant amount to the retirees. That amount is a set number. Based on 2025, $7.2 million. The delta, if we had everyone participate, $9.2 million. I would not budget based on 100%. We are going to have to give the employees the option to be able to say, I don't want to participate, and I want to still stay in the city's plan. We're not going to force your retirees onto this. Other municipalities have done it. There's legislation that is, I don't know if it's even gray, that says you really can't force that retiree into this decision. We have to give them the option, but the decision will be easy when they have no premium, and now they're comparing it to a plan that's not 100%. And in today's times, I will tell you, it would be great to have 100% coverage. All this stuff is unaffordable. Everything on healthcare is unaffordable from a price standpoint. You have to have something that makes the playing field level. So last thing on here is on page 10, and it just talks about where are we in the process today. So we're evaluating this part of the program, which is critical. We're also looking and trying to renegotiate, and we'll be successful with this, but renegotiating the pharmacy benefit management agreement with Blue Cross. Next year, we're going to request and ask you all for permission to do a full RFP of the PBM. The PBM is a pharmacy benefit manager that the insurance companies hire to manage your pharmacy program. This year, we're going to Blue Cross and asking for a renegotiation of the contract due to a market check. And a market check is we do an informal RFP of a carrier and determine how far off are they on the contract. And we'll negotiate with that. That should result in a decent savings. What is that number? It could be anywhere between $2 to $3 million on that savings to do that. Next year's RFP would be considerably better. Also, looking at different things that you can put in place that can try to give dependents, particularly spouses, this would be for next year, the opportunity to be incented to get coverage elsewhere. So if a person is covered under, has an opportunity to be covered under their employer's plan, it gives them the incentive and the opportunity to be able to do that. So we'll talk more about that in coming meetings. So that was a lot. I would love to ask or answer Michael and I any questions that you would have.
We're going to have a public hearing first, and then we'll go to the council to ask questions.
That's great.
Thank y'all for the report. Anyone here wishing to speak on the report? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Councilwoman Rocca.
Thank you, gentlemen, so very much for all the hard work that you've done. This is absolutely amazing, and I'm going to have some questions for you guys, but I'm going to go through a little history of Jen Rocca and insurance with the city of Baton Rouge that I think you might find very interesting. I hope you do. So about somewhere between 6 or 7 years ago, I was just a private citizen that worked for a global insurance company that answered an RFP for the insurance benefits of the city of Baton Rouge. And when I did that, I could not get the administration to listen to me or hear me out whenever I talked about advantage plans or pharmacy carve-outs or any of those things. I talked to some council members, some were very receptive. An RFP went out. The company that I worked with did not receive the benefits. It went to another company. Hitting all the closed doors, I decided that, you know what, I'm going to give this council thing a try. So it motivated me to take Barbara Freiberg's open seat. And that's basically how I got here, guys. It all stemmed from insurance. Now, over the course of several years of being on the council, every single year I have had this same similar ask, okay? We had previous consultants that would talk about it, but we'd never have a plan that got us there. And I must say, we've never had someone break it down as eloquently as you guys did, so thank you very, very much for that. What pains me tonight is to know that at a minimum, you said we had an $8.3 million worth of savings. Could you tell me at a maximum, if we implemented everything that you had, we talk about PBMs, tell me what that range could potentially be for the city?
PBM, generally, you're looking at a potential of a 20% savings. I know that sounds a lot, but most of that is in rebates. Rebates are dollars that the PBM puts in place to incent to be on their formulary. You all who all have a card, and you show up at Walgreens or CVS or independent drugstore, you're going to have different tiers of benefits. The pharmaceutical companies are paying these PBMs to be able to be on their formulary. Those dollars come back to you as the city, those rebates. Your rebates, I think last year, Michael, was around $9 million. Your spend on pharmacy alone was $34 million. There is no part of your health plan that is going to be more volatile over the next 3 to 4 years than that. Everybody, I think, has, if you read the paper, has sort of villainized the PBM business. We almost had legislation passed in the state this year about which would have had some major impacts on a couple of the PBMs. Your negotiation is to typically improve the rebates that are being paid because the PBM is keeping a portion of that. So there's no guarantee in that, but generally when you do an RFP, and it's been a while since you've done it, 20% would be a fair number to state. So that close to $7 million on that piece to be able to do that. The other is deciding to get into eligibility management. So your number of part of any city, school boards, all of this is the same. Your generosity leads to no good deed goes unpunished, meaning you're providing great benefits at a low cost and you attract a lot of dependents on the program. And that is a reason why people are recruited and come into your city to work. And so I don't want to sit here and tell you you should change philosophies around how you pay for your benefits and what you pay for your employees, because that's why they work here. You can't just blanketly cut things like that. I know you're not even intended to do that. But because of that generosity, a lot of spouses come on the plans that could be and should be covered through their work. So you're subsidizing other employers. The only question is there alternatives other than penalizing them that could give them an incentive to take the coverage through their work? A large percentage of your higher utilizers on your plan are spouses. So is it something financially to look at? You should. Does it take time to educate that and do that? It does. So, Councilman Rocca, I think you have the opportunity on that to certainly pick up 5 to 6 million more in doing that. But that would probably take, in a suggestion, more lead time than you have today, unless that's something that you really want to push super hard.
Sorry to interrupt. So somewhere you're saying actionable items potentially today could lead to $15 million roundabout, and then another additional $5 million. And so where I was going with that is, we worked on it towards the end of the last administration. Some council members and I, Councilman Dunn, we were working on looking at some of these things and revamping these things in the event that we had some expenditures coming forth for the city of St. George. Now we know the Thrive plan that we have moving forward. So we were looking at those things, and I think we even touched base with you guys as soon as we knew that you were hired to look through those things. We ended up talking to some folks within the current administration, and we got told what Medicare Advantage or Blue Advantage does and doesn't cover, which wasn't actually accurate. And then we also got told that some of the employees would not like this. But then I have to tell you, I talked to you, we had our meeting, and I called Mayor Edwards. And he was in D.C. at the time, and he was at dinner, and Mason Batts actually facilitated that call. And that not only did they take my call while they were in D.C. at dinner, but he listened and he said, thank you. And he said, let's move forward and let's tell me more, figure this out. This is great news. This is incredible. Thank you for looking at this. They didn't ask me my background. They didn't ask me whether or not I knew insurance. They didn't tell me what insurance could or couldn't do, having no background in insurance. So I was extremely grateful after over 6 years of talking to them about other people about insurance that we finally made this leeway. So moving forward, if one thing that I'd like to tell my colleagues, if you would like to know anything about someone being on an Advantage plan and you want to know, you want to hear, you want to talk to them about it, go to District 12, usually in any of the coffee shops. You can find a retiree from LSU, okay? They are on that plan. And you go talk to them just like I did and see how well received it is and how much they love it and how much money they've saved. I encourage everyone to go and try to do that. The next piece that I'm really interested in is, what is the timeline? What is the time frame? I know that, thank you so much. I'm running out of time. Thank y'all. So, what is the timeline? I know that, I'm on a timeline, but what can you guys get this implemented? Because let me tell you why, for the public's sake. I'm sure that you're aware. We have, we're trying to bridge a gap and a hole that we currently have. And we have this wonderful thing called Thrive that we are leaning very hard on our voters to go out and vote and be at the polls and move this piece forward. Thrive brings us, I think, approximately $23 million of reoccurring revenue. But you guys are standing here in front of us saying, hey, Jen, we might be able to help you with a minimum of $8.3 or $15 million of reoccurring revenue and possibly $20 million. So everybody should be kissing you, cheering for you guys, applauding for you guys. Yeah. So my point is, with all these good tidings and this good news that you're telling me, I understand that there is a process, and we have 4,000 plus employees, 2,000 retirees. How does that look? Can your team do it? Can you guys do it? I don't think you'd stand here if you couldn't do it.
Yeah, so I think the important thing to think about is decisions you have to make. If you all can look at page 7, the first decision that you have to make, because there's a timing from Blue Cross on this, is that the decision to make the benefits between the retirees and the active employees the same and eliminate the 100% coverage that's in place today. That has to be done, and we were texting during the meeting, listening to when your next council meeting was. That deadline was August the 11th. Your meeting is August 13th, I think, the next council meeting. So Michael was texting Blue Cross, and they said, we can wait until August 13th. You cannot wait beyond that. You have to make a decision on that because they need to build benefits
Point of
on that.
order. So we can call a special meeting just for you.
Yeah,
Yes, sir, we can.
good.
We can make it happen before, if that helps, and that's the way that this council wants to move, and this body wants to move, we can make that happen
The
for you
more
guys.
time you give yourself, because here's the key is, all of this sounds great.
Hang on, just hold that thought. Councilwoman Rock is out of time. I think she's going to be granted more time. Councilman Goday.
No, let her finish, please. Let's finish have some of my time. Please finish your thought.
What I was going to say is that a big part of this is you will get, every single one of you, phone calls from your retirees complaining that things are being taken away. You have to put together, we have to help you with it, an honest, good communication plan to make sure they understand this and they know what they're getting is better. And the more time you give yourself to do that, the better. If you talk to all these other municipalities, they will all tell you the same thing. There was tremendous fear. There was anger.
Sure.
There was people saying, I can't believe you're doing this to me. And they all still enrolled in a Medicare Advantage. They have an option to roll out. They all still did it because everybody makes decisions based on their pocketbook. And when they look at the premium and they look at what their out-of-pocket is, as long as we do an honest and fair education, we're good. But we need time to do it. And I think to ask HR, your open enrollment period is going to be when?
October, November.
Early November.
Yeah, so you can see October being the period, we're making a decision in August. We've got a pretty quick runway to do a good education job.
Forgive me, I missed your name. I've got Michael, but I missed your name.
Kevin Gardner.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it. I won't be kissing either of you today, just so
No
you're
problem.
aware.
Thank you.
I'm glad you brought us to slide 7, and I'll throw the question at you. It may actually go towards the city parish employee, but under concerns, I clued in on compliance with city parish ordinance. Do you all know what the?
So I think what that's relating to, and LaToya can confirm, is that you cannot make this program mandatory. So the ordinance is, and I think, LaToya, is that what it's about? You want to address that?
We consulted with the parish attorney's office, and there are current ordinances that state we cannot make a move to the Blue Advantage plan mandatory for our current retirees. It is something that can be considered for our employees that are hired after January 2nd of 2004. And this is based off existing city parish ordinances.
Prior to 2004, you cannot
So
require.
for hires on or after January 1, 2004, they are not promised the same or equal benefits to employees hired prior to that date. But for our current retirees, the current legal guidance is that we cannot make a move to Medicare Advantage mandatory.
Anyone before that 2004 date?
Yes.
Okay. So achieving 100% participation has some challenges associated with it.
Correct. Based off their hire date.
Correct. Okay. Go ahead.
And what we're gonna make the suggestion, and I think you're gonna need to get legal review, is that all of those different municipalities that I mentioned who followed and went through those same rules operated under an opt-out arrangement. And what their determination was, everybody's going to participate and get educated, and if they don't want to participate, they can opt out, but otherwise they're automatically going to be enrolled in the Medicare Advantage.
Okay.
So that will almost certainly get you the participation you want. If you made this completely voluntary, then your numbers are not going to be at 90 because people don't
Correct.
make decisions. They don't read anything. You're going to have people that are not going to read. And I think the important thing to realize is this. If the council makes a decision that we're going to get rid of the 100% that exists today, we need the employees to get engaged because they're going to wake up January 1 thinking they have 100% coverage, and they don't. They'll only have 100% if they enroll in the Medicare Advantage. That's the only way to get the 100%.
Thank you very much. I think my next question is probably going to be for the finance department. I'm going to use the 100% participation number of 9.2 million. Would that all be general fund dollars?
So
No,
only
it's-
38%.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
I have your answer. And my piece was the ancillary portion, but you all took care of that, so I'm not just standing up here like a statue. I do appreciate y'all doing that so that I could just let Mr. Gardner here talk. But 38% of the savings that we're talking about hits the general fund.
The other 62, did I do my math right? 60, go ahead.
It's with the health plan. Is that right, Angie?
Yeah.
So he is correct. We had a meeting to discuss all those
Okay.
these, different questions that could potentially come up. But the health insurance program funds the general fund employees, the special fund, the enterprise, the internal service funds, all active employees and retirees. So the remainder of the savings would be realized in premiums associated with those funds.
Spread across those funds. Okay. So 38% is general fund. Okay. Thank you. All right. Thank you. That was my questions. I yield the remainder of my time to Councilmember Rocco.
Thank you so much. So I think what we so eloquently pointed out is that we still need Thrive, but we also need this as well. So thank you. The one thing that I want to just have you guys clear up and just make sure that we understand is if our employees are the ones that are on our current benefit plans, they're not impacted at all, correct?
They're not. But I will say this, if we're unable to do this and we look at what will happen next year, we're going to forecast trend, and the city's going to pick up an additional $6 to $7 million just in medical inflation trend. So you're going to be increasing your budget by at least that if we did nothing. So the question, I think, would go back to the city is if the city is trying to find ways to cut, then you would be forced to reduce benefits in some way to everyone, including the retirees. So, you know, we're squeezing a balloon and it's going to go somewhere. And if we're operating with the same balloon, we're going to have to make reductions in something that affects everybody. We're trying to create efficiencies first before we even get to doing that.
And it makes sense, and for my fellow council members, we're all well aware of making reductions. Like, we're forced with finding money in various places or reducing departments by 6%, maybe even 12% across the board. So changing a benefit is definitely easier, I think, in my opinion, than sending people home and telling them they no longer work for the city. My next question is, and I think you hit on this, and I think you did a great job, but I just want it to be clear. With the Medicare Advantage plan, you were saying that it was approximately $325, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And with that plan, and we talked about being partially self-funded or self-funded. With the $325, that is all we pay, right? We don't pay if our retirees have if they have a lot of health issues and the trend goes up, because that happens oftentimes, especially here in Louisiana. You know, sometimes we have some health issues that we experience more so than other places. But if it goes up and there's a trend where it's going up, are we capped at that number? I just want to be sure that everybody understood that.
So Blue Advantage premiums today are $310, and that's per member. In 2026, they're going up to $325. So it is a fixed cost. Each year, Blue Cross issues a renewal. It has remained at $310 for the last several years. Blue Cross confirmed that. This year is the only year in about the last 3 or 4 years that they've had to issue an increase. So it's a much more stable number.
Thank you so much.
Councilman Hudson.
Can y'all help me understand the timeline and what needs to happen? I know the date of August 13th was just thrown out. Explain to me what has to happen before then.
So you're going to have to decide upon the changes you're going to do and how we're going to do the enrollment. We talked about opt-out. You're going to have to decide about the coordination of benefits decision. You're going to have to decide how we're going to make the plan more advantageous for the member. So now that we have that, our job is we need to hit the 90% participation and it should do it on its own as long as we do the education because the plan's better. But what we'll have to sit with the Human Resource Department is every year Blue Cross conducts enrollment meetings. We're going to have to do more robust meetings with those employees to educate them on that. So that has to be done prior to open enrollment. I'm sorry, Latoya, go ahead.
So I just want to add, just for clarity on the timeline, the only thing that needs to be done is informing Blue Cross that we want to move forward with the coordination of benefits. Our current ordinances do allow for that, and so if the council is in support of that, we can move forward with informing Blue Cross.
And so does that require a resolution from this council to do, or?
It does not, because there's current, I'm not sure if it's an ordinance or resolution that allows for that.
Okay. Okay, so I understand that part of it now. But you mentioned the need to communicate to the employees. If we're moving forward in that direction, how do we communicate that quickly? Are you guys prepared to execute on communication that quickly?
Yeah, it's Blue Cross is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting. They have an entire team that does Medicare Advantage programs. So they would bring their team out, they would conduct meetings, we would determine and help make sure that they have the appropriate staffing to do that, but they would be the ones providing that.
But that would happen after August 13th, right?
Correct.
After August 13th, but before open enrollment?
Correct.
Okay. Walk me through, this is just I guess a curiosity of mine. The national debate around PBMs, as I've listened to it, has talked a lot about rebates, the idea that those rebates really are designed for the plan participant, but they end up going to the PBM's bottom line. What is the reality here locally? What is happening? Are we as plan members enjoying those benefits, or are they going to the bottom line of the PBM?
So for a municipality, the majority of those rebates come back to the city, and the city offsets the cost of the plan based on the rebate. So when we do your budget and we talk about the pharmacy being at 25 million, we minus the rebates out and bring it to 26 million, and that's the budget number we use to set everyone's rates, the employees' rates in your budget. So everyone is sharing in it. The city's sharing in it, and the employees are sharing in it. Does the city share more in it? They do, because they pay the majority of the cost. On a fully insured plan, which you all are not, those rebates go back to Blue Cross, United Healthcare. They keep the money. Their argument is, if you took that money away, we'd raise premiums, which they would. So it's somewhat of the same thing. If that money, which was part of legislation, goes back to the employee would be benefited by that. Rates would go up guaranteed. You would, with no question, have to increase your cost to your employees if rebates went to the employee. Because you're using those dollars today to offset the cost of your plan. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And let me tell you this much. You wish healthcare was more simple. Why does it have to be that? And I don't have an answer for that. I wish I did. It's just such a complicated system, and That's not something I think anyone in this room, any of us can fix right now.
Awesome. Thank you. That's all the questions I had. The only other thing I wanted to say was I take partial responsibility for Councilman Rocca being here because I was on the selection committee for the other company that got selected. So to my colleagues, you're welcome.
I think you meant to say, I'm sorry.
Councilman Dunn Jr.
Thank you. I won't reiterate everything that Councilwoman Rocca said. Obviously, this is good news. We did jump into this with the previous provider before they departed, and as she said, kind of scratched the surface, but y'all gave us a real robust overview of where things stand, and I'm in support of moving forward with these changes. I would offer up that I think, based on what Ms. Pearson said, that it would be wise of us to give some sort of formal directive, even if that's encouraging the council administrator to send an email request to HR, telling them what our wishes are. I mean, we can, state that for the record today. We can do a resolution, but I think something formal would be appropriate to send to them to put them into action. And then, as you mentioned, we definitely need some information, some sessions with employees and retirees, and we need you guys to help us with, that dialogue, any content, any pamphlets you may have. It's going to be incumbent upon us to communicate that to the employees, the department heads, communicate that to the employees, as well as us communicate it to the retirees, so there won't be any misinformation. I do think we need to have an outreach plan in place once the directive is given that all of us can participate in, so we can make sure that the message is carried effectively and we won't have any miscommunication. That's all I have.
Agreed.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Sir, HR, I want to know about the concern here with the compliance with city parish ordinance, and you said those that were hired after January 2004. Is that what you said?
I did say that.
Okay, so
I'm the person who wrote the legal opinion, just in case you have a
I'm
question
not,
for
no,
me.
I ain't.
Okay.
I want to know about the number of persons that this will affect. When we talk about the 2004, and you said that if that, they were not, then that would be a concern. So how many people are we talking about, approximately?
Sure, just 1 second.
Yes, ma'am. And then while you're looking for that, we definitely do not want any misinformation given to the people. And I know that they will have many questions, and it will be incumbent upon all of us to make sure that their questions are answered with all the truth that's down in your bones. And I know that they will want to know also if they would still be able to go to their doctors. I know that that's going to be one of the questions, and rightfully so. And so that is definitely something we want to make sure. And it's amazing that if we're talking about $19 million that can come about as a result of this movement here. Yeah, this is amazing here, if this is what this is. Yes, ma'am.
So based on our current payroll, for our number of hires our number of hires that were hired between January 2nd, 2004 through our current payroll is approximately 2,518.
Okay, so are you saying, and just walk with me, are you saying that the compliance with that ordinance will affect 2,518 people?
Right, so if the city did decide to make Medicare Advantage mandatory, it could only apply to approximately 2,518 current employees.
Okay. All right. 2,518, so that's about half of the number of employees that we have. But if we are up on our business and doing that big E word, educating them, and then see how this can work and not how it can't work, then we'll be doing our due diligence. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. May, and then give us more.
And if I could say just one thing, I know there may be concerns. We're focusing on retirees and mainly retirees who are Medicare eligible. So my understanding is that you all have retirees that are not yet Medicare eligible. And so how would this change affect them? And nothing changes with their coverage. They would still be on the group health plan. They don't get issued new ID cards, their deductibles, their copays, their out-of-pockets, nothing changes. It's status quo for them. So I did want to confirm that.
This is only for people post 65, 65 or older.
Thank you,
Okay?
sir. We had some firemen and policemen that were frantically texting me that retire at quite a young age, so thank you so much.
There's also a small segment of people, and you may not have it, that did not pay into Social Security, so they're not even eligible. They would stay on the current active plan.
Thank y'all so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I'm
Appreciate the
sorry.
opportunity.
Thank you,
Mayor Pro
Councilwoman
Tem,
Rocco.
I would like to say something quickly. I want to thank my colleagues, Jen Rocca and Cleve Dunn, for doing the work, for starting this process and seeing it through. This is great news. This is awesome news. And I think everyone should give you a hand for doing the work and making this possible.
If we're going to go there, we actually had an insurance committee that selected these gentlemen. Our council administrator, Ashley Beck, was on it. I'm not sure who else was on it, but they went through the RFP process. They vetted it out. They did an excellent job, and I'd like to commend them on the work they did.
Kudos to Beck.
All right.
And everyone else.
Yeah, and it was LaToya Pearson, Christy Hadley, Shane Spillman, if I'm missing somebody. Yeah. I'm sorry? Oh, that's right, Dr. Collins.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
All right, item 191. It's an emergency item authorizing the Parish Attorney's Office to submit a request for an opinion from the Attorney General regarding implementation of Act 391 of the 2025 regular legislative session governing the Board of Commissioners for the Recreation and Park Commission of East Baton Rouge Parish by Council Administrative Treasurer. Reason for emergency is in order to expedite an opinion regarding the implementation. In accordance with Ordinance 16422, this item must be declared an emergency by two-thirds vote of the Metropolitan Council. I need a motion to declare an emergency. Motion by Councilwoman Adams, second by Councilwoman Rocca. Is there any opposition on a motion to declare an emergency? Motion is declared an emergency. We're going to have a public hearing on the item. Anyone here wishing to speak on the item? Seeing none, we'll go to council. Do we have a motion on the item? Motion by Councilwoman Amoroso, second by Councilman Dunn Jr. Any opposition? Councilman Gode.
We'll just talk through it. I asked Ashley in advance of the meeting, so just Ashley, if you'll sort of repeat what you told me, please.
Sure. So the legislature passed this act that recomposes the Breck Commission. And after looking at that legislation, the Parish Attorney's Office and I, Kim Brooks, we came to the conclusion that it was very difficult to figure out what are we to do with our current commissioners. And the plan of government provides very limited reasons for removing people who y'all appoint from those seats. Generally, it has to be for cause, and we want to make sure that we are respecting the rights of those that y'all have appropriately appointed to the Breck Commission. So we're asking for guidance from the Attorney General. We'd like to ask for guidance from the Attorney General on how to implement these changes.
Councilman Dunn Jr.
Yes, this is what I spoke to earlier, and Ashley, correct me if I'm wrong. Whether it's this item or other items that we discussed, like the blight item, and some conversations we've had with state legislatures, with our parish attorney's office, even though laws are passed at the state legislature, we feel from our legal advice and legal team that the city charter is what dictates what happens here in city government, not state law. Is that the reference point in which we're seeking this advice, as I understand it?
Yes, that generally, because the city parish is a home rule charter entity, we have certain rights, and that non-home rule charter entities do not have. And so it makes for a unique interplay between state law and local autonomy. So there are concerns that a home rule charter jurisdiction would have that a non-home rule charter jurisdiction would not have. And so some of these state laws kind of test where that line is.
Thank you. I just wanted to state that for the record, and you're doing a good job being very diplomatic on your answer. But I firmly believe, and I know, in the conversations we've had with state legislators who've drafted and passed these bills, that we felt that they infringed on the right and authority of the city parish and our home rule charter. So we feel and been advised by council that this is in conflict and does not supersede the home rule charter. So I just want to state all that for the record. This item as well as the blight item, and maybe some others.
Thank you. It's been properly motioned and second. Is there any opposition? Motion carries. Councilwoman Amorosa. All right, thank you for your continued service. God bless. Any announcements?
I have one, Cats Only Wellness Day. I know we want dogs, but we did dogs before, so we're going to let them do the cats, but that will be at the Leo S. Butler Center, 9 to 12 on Saturday. So if you got a cat, bring it on over there in order that they can, take care of your cat.
Councilwoman Harris?
The Pedaling for Peace has been rescheduled to August 15th at 6 p.m. So if you've already registered with us for a bike, you're still good to go. We still have your name on the list for a bike, so put it on your schedule. It's going to be hot, but it's going to be a good hot. Okay. And we're going to push through. Back, get your bike. Mayor Pro Tem, your name is not on the list. Should I add your name to the list tonight?
It sounds suspiciously like exercise, and I don't do that.
Also, my back-to-school activity will be August 2nd, 10 to 12, at the Leo S. Butler Center. That's the District 10 back-to-school.
I do have one thing
with her tonight?
I have one thing for everybody. I had council members reach out to me about sometimes when we do dinner, we know it's a dinner for the council members, and we also order more, and everybody else is welcome to join. The rule is going to be council members first. After 10 minutes, then it's open for everybody, because there's been times where council does not have. It's gone.
Eating food is the last thing we need to, wrestle over. This here, I ain't thinking about no food. So have mine if you need to.